All right, I'm recording, so I think we're live. I think I'm recording, so I think we're good to go. Welcome to
Yep.
Roleplay Cafe. This is the very first ever official Dark Age of Man session online, and I couldn't do it with better people. We have Chalice and Chains. Sam is playing Brother Aethelwold. We have Stochastic Agency. Brian playing Sylvester Ducidit. Is that how you say that?
Deus did it.
Deus Dedit, right? Deus
Deus
Dedit.
did it.
Deus Dedit. Okay. And then we have Dell, of course, the co-author, co-creator of Dark Age of Man, here with me. He is playing Vidar. What? What?
What?
All right. So let's get started, gentlemen. Here we go. We're gonna play. The name of this first chronicle is called "The Bleak Winter." It is a simpler time, without stone castles or plate mail, small wars, petty kings, belief in magic and miracles, fens and forests, ancient roads and ruins, Christianity versus the old ways, words of power but few can write, a greater age, now lost, yet still remembered. That is the 7 truths of the Dark Ages. It is a cold winter. A poor autumn harvest and now a flooding river dredge has exasperated the current famine. There is an increase in pagan rituals, poaching, and peasant unrest. Nola and Sarah have been ordered to Howardtown Convent by Lady Washburn. Lord Washburn has ordered an ask and investigate of Peen and his pagan cult. Peen is being held in the sheriff's custody in Dredgewater. Criminals hang from every stout tree along the roads, trails, crossroads, and hilltops. Dredge is a terrifying place to be today. There lay an odd body, dead from starvation, frozen to the ground. Washburn keeps the palisade gates closed and barred for fear of a peasant revolt. Washburn is sending out men and women emissaries to request that all the aldermen in the region convert the pagans, to root out all poachers and deal with them with extreme prejudice, and to guard all food stores, meat stores, and fish stores. There is zero tolerance toward the uninvited stranger, and Mort's mercenaries are considered capital offenders. 2 Irish pilgrims claim they escaped starving peasants turned cannibals on the east bank of Dredge, and that is how we will begin this session. All right, so let's go to Brian here. Sylvester, sorry. Sylvester, tell me where you're at, and it is early morning, just sun up, and it is freezing cold. It's been another miserable night. Sun is soon up. Tell me where you are at, sir. Who you are, where you're at.
So after kind of traversing through town, I'm at the Blackleaf Inn early in the morning with both the dogs. Just kind of sitting in here, listening to the murmur of conversation of any of the other Dredgewater folk who may be present, to kind of get a feeling for their general temperament, any other rumors that may be floating around. Considering that I'm still an active member of, the military, I'm just kind of out here on information gathering, early morning, eating breakfast, give a few pieces of sausage to the dogs, and just kind of drink my morning ale and, nibble on some rye bread and eat a little chunk of cheese.
Okay. Taking in the early morning peasants as they stumble in to do the same. Start the morning with cheap gruel, something, if they can afford it. Most of the peasants, as you made your way through town, that are starving, obviously aren't necessarily here in town, right? They may be somewhere else, trying desperately to, do up to no good to feed themselves, maybe. There have been a lot of vigilante actions of late, as they have taken the law into their own hands, according to much of what Washburn is expecting during this famine. Tell me, Brother Aethelwold, where are you at, sir?
So I would be maybe an hour outside of the Dredgewater gates, making my way from London. My I believe my mule would have frozen to death the previous day. So poor young Henry and myself are carrying all of the gear that I would need to hopefully complete this conversion of the pagans, as the Lord and Lady Washburn have requested assistance
Okay.
from London.
So you have been ordered here, or you are answering their call?
I've been sent here
Okay.
from the Archbishop in London, and the powers that be probably expect that this is a very dangerous mission, and likely the priest would probably get killed, and so they haven't always been approving of my softer hand when it comes to conversions, and so
this might be somewhat of a punishment for you.
Yes, it certainly is.
They're going to teach you a lesson about being soft.
Yes, I did not want to come to some backwater, place where I have to go, rabble rouse with the soldiers and the mercenaries.
Oh, then you're going to love Dredgewater, because it is a dredge water.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would imagine at this point, I would be kind of slowly walking along, you could see almost the mist coming from my mouth as I breathe, and looking up at the sun. And then, I would kind of do that, and I would say, Father, you brought us sun once again. If perhaps you could warm the air, but a bit.
You've seen
to help us along our way.
You've seen lots of evidence that this is a very bleak place, as there's obviously people hanging from the trees, and at every major crossroads somebody hangs from a tree or a lamp, or has been erected onto you have seen actual bodies in places where they've been dead maybe for a few days, frozen. It is clear there is a famine here, and it's pretty bleak already, but and it's colder than you have ever been in your life. Probably anyone has ever been in this region in their life, right? Very cold. Henry will follow along. He might moan and cry a little bit. How old is he? 15, 16?
No, he's younger than that. He's probably about 11 or 12.
Okay.
And I would imagine that you would hear this like, behind me. And I would look back, and he would be like, sir, the bread, it's hard as ice. It's like, yes, well, I told you to keep it in close next to you while you slept. You must listen to me.
Right. He will be grateful to have that hard bread here in the famine-stricken Dredgewater. All right. So we've got you about an hour outside of Dredgewater before you come to the Palisade of Dredgetown. All right, Vidar, where are you at, sir? Put you in the fiction here. You're muted, Del.
I'm standing on the bank of the river, in front of the funeral pyre. It's ablaze as my wife and two children are laid atop it, and the smoke is just billowing up in a black sootish mass, and hanging there in the cold still of the air. No wind whatsoever. I turn my head up and howl and beat my breast and fall down to my knees and hands. And after I'll stay there for a while until the fire dies down, and turn on my heel and head toward Dredgetown.
Okay.
I'm looking off at the side for Roy, the tanner, who's south of town as well. That I may pass on the way up there.
Okay, so you want to head up to the actual palisade gates. Okay.
Yeah, I'm south of town right now.
Yeah, you pass the tanner's dwelling, which is a hovel. He's not out and about, but that doesn't mean he isn't in his hovel.
Okay. I go up to it and bang on the door.
Yeah, you hear him rouse, and the door comes open quickly, and a young 26, not young, but 26-year-old man. You know Rory. Rory just 2 days ago saved Connor Washburn. I mean, Rory brought back, had killed the pagan and brought back Sarah and Nola and Beatrice, right? So you know Rory from his escapades in the last couple of days. He opens that door and says,
Where have you been?
What?
Where have you been? Actually, I don't know because I've been out of pocket, just to let you know.
Okay.
So I haven't been in the circles of town since the flood washed out my whole area.
Okay.
And while I'm drawn toward Rory, the Tanner's area is his hovel's still on ground. I can tell that it's more solid ground here, but my whole area, my whole farmland has been washed out. All the trees are overturned. My wife and children have died in the debris. I usually trade with Rory for fats
Okay.
whenever I'm making my rush lights.
Okay.
And anyway, where have you been?
I've been here sleeping. It's early. The sun's not yet up.
I was here not 2 days ago. You were not here.
Yes, well, I had to do what I had to do, what I must. I helped the young Beatrice, the ward of Washburn. You don't know?
All I know is that my family is gone. My farm is gone. I'm here to tell you that there will be no trade henceforth from this moment. How does the town look?
The town is in a bad way. There are many starving peasants. There are many ill, but I'm sorry to hear of your family, Vidar. And you do not look well. Have you eaten?
I have not eaten.
Come.
But I have business. And then I turn, look disheveled or whatever, and I stagger off toward town as he watches me leave.
He steps out behind you and he says, "Let me give you something." And he pitches up an old clump of bread towards you and an apple.
Okay. Now he sees me dragging my axe, and I've got a shield over my back, which he hasn't seen me in this before. And
Vidar, you are not up to no good, are you, Vidar? Will not benefit you.
I need to see that Washburn. Washburn, the land suffers. I hear he hides in his keep.
Well, keep your wits about you, Vidar. He is on edge, is our lord.
No need to worry about me.
All right, gentlemen, I'm going to roll the first RSC, and we'll see what we get here.
Yeah, awesome.
You
get a little higher.
The audience will be able to see this from mine. However, you gentlemen won't know what this is. Oh, interesting. Okay. All right. So let's go back to Brian. You are in the inn. You are currently enjoying a meal. You hear talk from the locals, and it isn't long as the sun begins to come up. You hear out front the crier. He has been paid regularly every day. The crier comes out, and you hear him start his round. Stands in the middle on the dais when Father Falcone is not preaching. Pagans be saved and convert. All poachers will be executed. All men of Mord must withdraw from Dredgewater. Dredgelanders will not congregate around food stores. And he'll repeat this as he walks through town and wanders off in the outskirts of Dredgewater is this crier. Inside, of course, there it is picking up. There are more people coming in. Clearly, though, and you recognize many of these people. You've been around here sometimes, Sylvester. So you recognize those that can afford with a copper or silver to feed themselves with just their wealth. Many people congregate outside the Black Leaf. Peasants that aren't able to eat, can't feed themselves, and they, of course, just through their sheer mass of crowds at times, try to intimidate people into giving them food or something, right? You've seen this over the last, I would say, last few weeks as things have gotten harder. There's much rabble. They generally break up, though, when the soldiers come around. So far, nothing in town that has been too deadly.
Okay.
Jules, he ultimately is. Let me double check this real quick here. Jules is the one who's working at this hour, right? His bar wench, etc., may not be in, so he's the one that feeds you. He's the one that takes up your cup and your wooden dish when you're through. He actually throws what scraps he might have already picked up from some other tables to your wolfhounds as they sit at your feet. Feeds Maya and Barbara.
As he's kind of like leaning over and scraping the leavings back off onto the floor, I'm going to kind of whisper at him, how is the temperament of your patrons lately?
Well, those who can afford to patronize the Black Leaf, they're fine. We have had to bar the doors after hours, and I have had to set up most. And you can see he's black eyes. He's exhausted. I'm setting up to guard from those who might kick my door in. It's getting dangerous, Sylvester. Very dangerous here.
Well, since you've always been good to me when I'm not staying at the barracks, and if I'm not on duty, I'll make my way down here to give you a chance to rest. I know that, and I kind of lean close to him and say, I know that Washburn has declared, the stores are to be guarded and food is to be rationed. But if I am out and about and I can find a few hares or a squirrel or two, I could certainly bring something back for you to dispense from the back door to maybe alleviate some of your more ill-wanted patrons.
I would charge you with that if you could bring back some squirrel, some rabbit, something. I would appreciate that. It would go well if I could feed that to my patrons and feed our gruel to some of the peasants. It would do well. I know these people. I've known these people my whole life. I don't want it to be soldiers. I don't want soldiers to be the answer to this problem.
But neither would the DAoM family. We've been in Dredgewater for quite some time, a few generations. So anything we can do to help the community would be to our advantage, more or less.
If
as
you
long
can,
as we can keep
if you can hunt and bring me something, I would appreciate it.
So I'll kind of stand up, put my hand on his shoulder and say, I will make every effort that I can while I am out on my rounds outside the palisade walls and outside Dredgewater.
Okay, perfect.
I'll, kind of wave my hand to get the dogs to stand up and heave too.
Huge.
And
these things are bigger than you, right? I mean, these things are huge.
Huge.
Yeah. Are they thin? Are they malnourished?
No, they are prime hunting dogs. So if anything else, they eat better than I do.
Okay.
Because
if they understand you with a flip of the hand, with a look of the eyes.
That's basically what our family has been doing. Is we are huntsmen and dog trainers.
Okay. Can we assume Prince, the eldest son of Washburn's wolfhound, comes from your breed?
Yes.
Okay. So Prince is of your family stock. Sweet.
Yes.
Okay. All right. We'll go over to the traveling Brother Aethelwald. As you and Henry are close, you now have come over the rise and you can see Dredgewater. And it's not impressive. It looks worse than you could have possibly imagined. You do see up the rise, right, the palisade, which is still quite a ways up behind Dredgewater itself. You can see that the river is overflowed its banks. Again, lots of bodies here, some frozen, and unfortunately, you hear the scuffling and the snorting as Henry barks out, "Sir!" and points, brother Ethelwald. And you can see just coming over the rise, which would be to the north, a first wolf comes over the rise, and then a second wolf, and then a third wolf, and a fourth wolf, and then a fifth wolf, and they're kind of spreading out, and one is headed down right as the others circle. They're probably 75 yards from you and Henry as you're coming down the slopes to Dredgewater.
Great. Well, you know what they say, right? You don't have to run the fastest. You just have to run faster than the other guy. And I'm sure Henry's feet are nearly frozen. Poor kid. Now,
okay. You on a horse? Are you on a horse?
No, I was. We
That's
had
right.
a
Your
mule,
mule
but then
died.
he froze.
I'm sorry.
To death.
You did say that. Yes.
Yeah. So, seeing these, I would pause for a moment, trying to sort of hold back that fear and that panic, right? And I think I would put down like this big barrel and this whole like kit of whatever I would use for brewing, right? The sack with the hops in it and everything, and I would say, well, my boy, there's no running from a pack of wolves, and we have no chance to fight. The only thing we can do now is beseech the Lord to protect us. Through our faith and through his love for us, perhaps we'll make it to see the sunrise and to get inside that palisade wall. And so I would pull out the cross, and I would say, my Lord, protect your humble servant so that I can spread your good word and do good, continue to do good, and to help the beleaguered people of Dredgewater. Protect me and your child Henry from these vicious wolves, these predators, okay, and let them find their needed sustenance elsewhere, not upon our bones and our flesh.
Nice. So let's make a spirit check.
Okay.
Add your spirit plus your actual holy.
I believe my macro has it. So let's see. Okay.
And we're looking at, let me find it. Here we go. We're looking at a, let's see here. And I told you I would use the, so you're looking at a tough check, my friend.
Ooh.
Okay.
You may have made the roll. I heard a ding, but I haven't.
I got an 8. So tough, it says 8 to 9 in the book. I don't know.
Yep, that's right.
Okay.
Tough 9 would be the lower end of that. 8. Okay. So as you make these prayers, you see the lead wolf, nose to the ground, then stops, ears up, and he starts faster toward you. The others now begin to outflank it even faster to cut off any route of escape. You might still have a jump on them as they're covering ground quickly now. We need Sylvester. I mean, not Sylvester, Vidar, to make a observation check here. Ultimately, my friend, as you're walking up through Dredgewater to the to see this in the distance. So you added you don't have mind, right?
Actually, I do have one mind.
Oh, you do? Okay, so 7. All right, so out of the corner of your eye, you see the movement, right? It's early morning, sun's coming up, and you can just see as these specks come over the top of the rise. You can see some peasants coming in and out of Dredgewater, and you see this movement, and it's organized. You pick it up, and it clearly is this pack of wolves headed toward a group of individuals headed into Dredgewater, 2 of which appear to be holy men.
Okay. I pause for a second. My eyes go over there. I squint a little bit. They're not as useful to me as they once were. I start stalking toward that direction,
Okay.
believing is Father Falcone or Falcone,
Right.
and I'll pick up into a pace of run and lower my axe and shield, and I'm dropping my package as I run toward them, and I'm bellowing out, "Wolves, be gone!" And I'm just yelling as much as I can, swinging my axe back and forth in that direction, try to get their attention.
Awesome. All right. So let's do this. Let's make a roll to see if you get their attention. This will be a luck check, my friend.
Okay,
And
plus
this
one.
is going to be at the wolves difficulty of tough.
Okay. Now, for some reason, I can't see what I'm rolling here, but you can.
You got a 3.
Yeah, you got a 3.
Ouch. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so
Maybe
you're
I'm
yelling,
I'm downwind.
but you aren't enough deterrent for starving wolves, right?
Yeah.
All right. Let's go back to Brian, who's in the Brian Sylvester, excuse me. I do this all the time.
It's okay.
You are coming out, right, with your wolfhounds? I'm assuming.
Yeah, I mean, I got my cloak on. I don't have my side sword or shield with me, but I always carry the bow and the arrows with me.
Okay. So as you exit the Blackwater Inn, there are peasants again out here. Some of them look in very bad way. Some are kneeling, sitting, curled up, freezing. They're clearly starving.
I tell them to gather on the lee side of the building and stay out of the wind.
They will look up. Some of them you recognize, people you've known, and they'll acknowledge and crawl away. Some who can move. Some are clearly so weak they're having trouble moving. You do spy out of the corner of your eye a group of peasants that look a little fitter just up the way, headed toward Dredge Town, the Palisade Gates. But this road also breaks off and heads toward Dredgewater Downs. They're organized. There's about 6 of them. And they're organized with their, hooks and their pitchforks. You can't tell where they're headed exactly. And they stop. And you see them turn to the east, right? And they begin to, like they're seeing something to the east. And they start moving east rather quickly.
Really? All right. I pat Barbara and Maya on the head and say, let's see what the mob has in store. And we'll break into a kind of a fast-paced jog to head that way.
Okay. As you do, the dogs outpace you, and you see them. You can sense it. You see that they are in wolf killing mode, right?
Okay.
And they seem to get this scent and this thing before you, and they perk up. I don't know exactly how you get their signals from these wolves, but they have spotted this pack. You can see the peasants. At that point, you do the math in your head. You look kind of where the peasants are going, and they're all rushing to these individuals trying to come into Redgewater as these wolves are coming down on them.
I'll give them the buy me order, more like a heel type order, and I will pick up my pace.
Okay, they whine and whimper a little bit because they love to kill wolves.
Oh, I know they do, but
they're like, don't.
I'm not going to let them get too far ahead of me before I can at least, take an assessment of what's going on. So we will break out running. As we're going, I'm going to go ahead and get the bow ready, arrow knocked, and keep scanning as we're moving in the same direction. If they're coming down and moving towards,
they look like they're attempting to encircle the Aethelweld, Henry, and a couple of other peasants that are out there in the same thing. Into Dredgewater.
Okay, so I see if the figures of Aethelweld and the barrel and all that down there.
You can see that they're hunting. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll pick out whichever beast is the alpha. And that will be my first mark. I'll go ahead and try and close to within, long range of the longbow. And then once I can get a beat on him, I will, tell Barbara and Maya to sit, and I will take a round to aim.
Okay. Beautiful. Okay. So what are you doing now as you are prepared? You see these wolves weren't deterred by your prayers. The Lord hath not forsaken you, Ethelweld. He just isn't interfering with this particular condition,
Yeah.
right?
This clearly this is a test of my faith to prove that I'm worthy of more than than what I'm in now.
Right.
But I feel like there's a good chance that this could be the end. And so what I would do is I would grab Henry close and I would say, "Stay by me, boy." And
Okay.
I'll hold the quarterstaff out ready for the first one to come in. So I would kind of try to take like a defensive stance, but always like with Henry right there to try to defend him.
Okay. So you just want to kind of keep him off of you. Sounds like.
Yeah. Well, for as long as possible, because the way I feel, no, actually what I want to do is keep them off of Henry.
Okay.
Hopefully if one of us is going down, I'd rather it be me, and then hopefully they all come on me.
What's Henry going to be doing?
Well, so Henry's having a hard time moving because his pants have now frozen because, unfortunately he was not able to contain his bravery.
Right.
And so he,
yeah.
I think he's trembling. And
it's as big as him, right? This wolf is as big as he is. Right.
Yeah. And I would say, my boy, it is in times like these that you must pray. Do that. Pray for both of us.
So let's make a combat check against this pack of wolves as they come in. But use your spirit and your holy symbol as you're praying to God, right? As you whip this.
Oh, okay. So make a spirit check.
It's a combat check using your spirit because you're praying.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
Cool.
So you'll get a +3. So your combat is technically 0. Mm-hmm. The staff is a +0. It's good, but you're going to get your spirit and your holy symbol. Okay.
So
and you're going to need
+3. You said
a tough.
Okay. Let's see.
You rolled 3d12.
21.
No, so 1d12 plus.
I'm sorry. That's the wrong thing.
21 is fat. I like that.
Yeah. So okay. How do I do on here? Oh, here we go. Here we go. It's under advanced die roller. +3.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Nice. All right. So you swing this staff, veering the alpha away from Henry as he whimpers and snarls. He slows and into a crouch as the rest of the pack now have surrounded you plus 2 other peasants, and they're slowly, the rest of the pack slowly vice gripping down. We will now go over to Vidar. Vidar, you can now see these wolves have cut you off from the victims, the backside of this pack of wolves. Again, Sylvester, you're seeing the same thing from a slightly different angle, of course, as you both are approaching. He's approaching from the south, you're approaching from the west, and you both see this. So there are some wolves that have cut you off. You're probably, you're within range if you sprint. And would
I be able to add one quick piece to the fiction before that? Okay. So I imagine as like the wolf is coming in, and I would swing at it with the quarterstaff right as either I connect with it or it just manages to leap out of the way. Okay. There's like a crack of thunder and lightning, I think, kind of like pierces the sky for just a minute. And I think that, and I don't know if Vidar would hear it this way or whatever, but it almost sounds as if like it's a forge hammer or like a battle, like a war hammer, like
nice
clanging, against something. And it just illuminates like the whole sky for a minute. Yeah.
It's like a crack of lightning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So obviously this lights up the ground and rattles the ears. Vidar, as you're witnessing him fight off this alpha.
Yeah, it gives me a momentary pause, but also you can't really, at the time that it's doing that, I'm like, "Wolves, be gone!" And I'm running straight toward him. I have business with him myself, and then I'm stalking in right time I come up to him to run with the axe, and I'm going straight at the bigger of the the wolves.
Okay.
Kind of in a death wish almost strong state of mind.
So you're going to
almost.
try to pass through the pack of wolves to the alpha?
Well, I'm running up to. Well, I mean, yeah, I'm going for the biggest one closest to me. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So my vision, I'm not that. I'm more of in a berserker type rage.
Okay.
They're not going to get to this holy man before I do. So,
Nice.
okay. So I'm gonna.
So that's a combat roll.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And yep, 3 on. All right.
So +3, you said?
Yep, +3.
Oh man.
And I can't see it on my end, so I don't know what.
Yeah, it's a 5.
Yeah.
Well, with the +3, it's a
Right.
5.
So as you rage, this clap of thunder and lightning gives you a slight bonus, right? As this might surge through you. Still not enough, as this pack of wolves, now 3 of this 6, right, spin off, and they've kind of isolated you, Vidar,
Okay.
and you suffer a wound as they basically get a bite on you, a couple of bites on you. So you're battered at this point, right?
Okay.
As
Yeah,
as they have outmaneuvered you.
I'm trying to hit them off with the shield and the axe and swing it around, but obviously I'm surrounded and they're tearing into my thighs and calves.
Okay.
So, all right.
You're not yet injured, but you're fatigued. You're getting a little bit.
Yeah.
Your adrenaline is surging. You're at the battered, right? So, okay. All right.
Oh yeah, I'm in there bleeding. Good.
Yep. Sai, you have got it. One of them in its your aim. That's going to give you a bonus, right? So it's going to be your combat plus the quality of your bow, and we're going to have a bonus of +1 for the aim if you want to shoot at this pack.
Oh,
Nice.
that's
All right.
yeah,
So
9.
striking 1 in a kill shot, right? As a hunter, you know right where to hit these large animals, right? The kill shot in the ribs, the heart, right back of the skull. 1 goes down. You have wounded this pack, which will affect the DV rating now of the whole pack, right? The whole pack now gets easier to fight, right?
So once the arrow goes flying, and I can see that it's hit my mark, I'm going to make a quick observation of the pack and look for the one who is the weakest in the group, because I know in a pack of wolves, there's always one at the bottom of the pack.
Yep.
And that is the one that I'm going to point out to Barbara and Maya and say, kill.
All right, roll. So let's sick these wolfhounds on the weakest wolf. Again, you're going to add +2 for them.
For the spirit?
Yeah, spirit plus their +2, right? 1 each. Yeah.
Okay. So I've got the macro is set up with a +2 from the spirit already, so this will be +2.
Okay. And then you add the spirit to this because you're commanding them, so that's going to be a +4 total. So.
Well, no, that roll is with the +2.
Oh,
I'll make
gotcha.
a macro for the wolves or
Beautiful.
for the wolfhounds.
Gotcha.
So that's 13 total.
All right, and again, they get to this wolf and mangle it pretty quick, rolling it over onto its back as it tries to surrender itself. They maul this wolf again, lowering that difficulty of the pack. There's only 3 or so of these wolves left. The alpha still circling Henry here. Aethelwold, right? So we're back to the top.
Okay, sorry, Jason. Did you say there were 3 left
Yeah.
that were circling us?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the one that I had hit with the staff, was that the one that went down, or was it a different one? It was a different one, right?
Who did you
Sylvester
target,
took down?
Sylvester? Who did you target? The alpha?
Yeah, that's my first.
Yep.
My first
So he
target
took
was
out
going to
the
be the
alpha,
alpha.
Henry.
So,
So you,
okay.
I mean,
basically-
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as Brother Aethelwald swings, the lightning hits.
Yeah.
You had mentioned that the wolf kind of gets back a little bit and then he stops.
right.
Sure.
As the alpha settles onto its haunches, this arrow comes flying into the side right of its chest.
Right. I can just imagine Aethelweld's going, "Yes, God, that's exactly right."
Right. No, yeah, exactly. And taking heart from this, seeing that there's now a little bit of a gap now that there's really only 3 wolves near us, I would say, You see, my boy, you see, I told you, when you have faith in the hardest of times, that is when God comes through. And but what I would do is I would start trying to back away, maybe into a gap or whatever. I don't know if it would be. I suppose it wouldn't be towards Dell's character, because towards Vidar, right? Because he's got a couple of wolves on him.
Really got the last three on surrounded him, right?
Oh, okay, yeah. So I'll be kind of backing away the other way,
fighting off these last three, right?
Sure. Actually, no. You know what? I won't, because I'll see him surrounded by these three wolves, this lone man. And so I think at this point, what I'll do is I'll look to Henry and I'll say, boy, run that way. Get as close to the town as you can. I'll make sure the wolves follow me, but I must save that man, or at least try.
Okay.
And so I imagine Henry is like, no, brother, I can't. I don't know anybody here. What if you die? And I say, trust in the Lord. All will be as it is supposed to be. Now go. And I kind of shove him.
Okay.
And I would imagine he almost starts to stumble, but then he runs.
Right.
Yeah.
Leaving baggage and everything in his wake, right? All of the gear and everything.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, he's running like an 11-year-old, right?
Yep.
A little gangly. Not everything works great, especially at 5 a.m, freezing and right.
Yeah, with his frozen, pea pants on.
Right.
And Dell's dogs are the perfect sort of sound effect for this, I imagine.
Right.
As the other wolves are barking and snapping.
Right.
Do they? But I would be kind of like, hey, and kind of
make sure they don't follow him. Right?
At least try,
right.
To kind of do that, and then I would like to try to start making my way towards Vidar, perhaps like,
sure.
Swinging or whatever. So I don't know what I need to do.
So you don't need to roll. It'll be a bonus to Vidar. So you're aiding by Vidar. So at this point, he's going to get a bonus as you're distracting the wolves. You've sent away your Henry, who's you don't have to worry about. So it's going to be a bonus to Vidar's combat check if he continues to fight here, right? All right, so let's go to Vidar. What are you doing, Vidar, as these wolves? You can hear this priest that you were running to his aid. You can see now that he's turned. He's swinging his staff at the wolves as they circle you, right?
I'm swinging my axe wildly around, and my eyes are just as wild and red. And then I catch sight of the, they're darting back and forth between all the wolves that are around me. And I see this, the priest, and I laugh wildly, like, where's your God now, Father? Where is he now? You said if I paid tribute, and I'm saying this breathlessly as I'm hacking away at the air, trying to keep him at bay. If I paid tribute, he would protect me. Where is he now? And I'm still swinging, trying to hit at least a wolf. And I'm trying to stalk all the meanwhile closer to the priest.
Okay.
Right?
So you're trying to move around toward the priest while fighting. Gotcha. So
you're
gonna get a bonus.
It's almost a stalking forward advance.
Okay.
To get to where he is. So.
Okay. So we've got a combat roll plus he is distracted one of these wolves. So you're gonna have a bonus to this roll, Del.
Nope. That is not.
Holy cow! You rolling the right thing? Holy cow! It's like, yo, you roll her twos, bro.
I'm rolling D2. I don't understand it.
Okay.
But anyway.
D2. Oh, okay. So as you stalk forward, in a way, disregarding your own defense to get closer to the priest, you take another snap on the thigh, and now you're injured. You're actually at this point, you're up to an injured state, which means they've caused you maybe to they've torn out a hunk of your thigh. You're bleeding pretty good now, so you're
I'm shredded. You can see the blood running on my legs, and I'm mixing with the ice on there as I'm walking forward, and I'm looking desperate. And there's this look in my eye, like of recognition or not recognition, as I catch brother. What's your name?
Ethelwald.
Ethelwald's face. Okay,
yeah.
You can tell him I got this look at me, and that's when they latch in and pull out, and I howl and scream a little bit.
Okay.
And it tears at me again.
And I think just at that moment, as he sort of is looking at me, and like our eyes catch, and you would see that my eyes would get really big, and like I would like almost stumble backwards for a moment. And if this was like a movie, right, there would be this cut scene, right, where I'm like huddled under this thing, and this bell is clanging, right, and there's these just screams and clangs of metal, and these large men are in this room where I am in this. I'm about maybe 14 years old, and they are, some of them have no shirts on. They have swords, axes, spears, wild hair. They're taller than anybody I've ever seen, and speaking in a language I don't understand, and just like ransacking this room, taking all of the holy, the gold and the silver and the sacramental wine and all of this, right? And I'm like, like huddled like underneath almost like this lectern or something, where because I'm small enough that I can fit under it, and I'm so scared because I feel like they're gonna hear my heart beating like I can hear it, but I manage to wait long enough, and they get out, and then as this sort of vision would subside and we kind of come back to this, I'm like gasping for breath. And then I'm like, Lord, this is what you've chosen to test my faith. And I'll kind of, I think I would have gone down to one knee, and then I'll kind of pop the staff back down to kind of get myself up. And I'll try to charge in. Well, when it's my turn, but my intention was to charge in yelling.
You've had a post-traumatic flashback.
Yes, to being, my monastery being raided by.
Right. That's awesome. All right. Yeah. Now that might affect. You may have just described something that I'll use to affect your spirit for the next turn. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. But we are over to Sylvester. And Sylvester, just as you're preparing for the knocking your next arrow, those peasants that had left Dredgetown's drawbridge, they're passing. It's like they're all racing past you onto these wolves, right? The 6 peasants that you had seen with pitchforks and hooks, they have now caught up with you. They've kind of overrun you as they're racing toward these wolves.
Okay, so as they're running by, I can see that they're kind of probably fixated, probably on getting a meal. I'll shout out, leave the hounds alone. Right. And I'll give a command for by me to circle Barbara and Maya back to me. I'll start closing in, taking aim on one of the wolves that is confronting Vida.
Okay.
Right?
Yep. And this will be a very easy check, as you got help from the peasants. So technically, we're going to lower the difficulty as opposed to giving you a bunch of bonuses. We just lower the difficulty. So it's going to be your normal combat check with your wolfhounds, if you're using the wolfhounds, and then we're going to lower that difficulty to easy. Okay. So you just need a 5 now with the help of the peasants.
All right. So this is with the hounds harrying the wolves on their way back.
Yes. Woo, 7.
It's a total of a 7.
It's at that point, it's for the most part, the peasants beat you to them because they are starving, and they're hacking these wolves down. They're chasing one of the wolves around as your wolfhound catches it and helps pull it to the ground. They then begin to scream and bark at your wolfhound as it is to them, it is trying to take. They're like a hungry pack of wolves themselves.
Oh yeah,
right. They want these wolves, and again, to see a starving man in this condition, it has to be difficult to watch. So, Brother Aethelwald, your spirit will be reduced just temporarily by 1 point because you're shaken by being triggered, so to speak. Vidar, you're I don't know what condition you're in, but these peasants just kind of overrun you, and the wolves. They take the wolves out. Some of them chase down this wolf. The wolfhound gets it. So you're standing now. We're outside of Dredgewater proper. All of you are here as these peasants now bark at you, Sylvester. Get your dogs. These are ours. And they start grabbing up these wolves and dragging them away. There are, and you can see other peasants from the village are aware now that the danger's gone, and they start coming. And you can see now these 6 peasants are like, we're going to have to defend our wolf capture from these other peasants. So this is going to look like a pretty ugly fight of famished peasants fighting over these wolves.
So kind of as they're collected around the 3 that were being harried by the wolves or being harried by the hounds, I will move towards the one, the alpha of the pack, and I'll basically, haunch down, put my knee down on it with the bow across my upper leg and an arrow knocked. And if any one of them starts to, call the dogs now by me, and if any of them try to come towards this one,
okay,
they can do whatever they want with the rest of them, but this one is going to be mine.
All right, so let's make a prestige check to see if you deter these hungry peasants.
Prestige?
Yes, your prestige. So it's a
Okay.
D12 plus your prestige.
Yep. Got that macro set
We'll
up.
add the wolves because the wolves, of course, are one hell of a deterrent.
So with the hounds.
The wolfhounds, yes.
All right.
And this is
what's the
a
difficulty?
average check.
Average?
Average
Oh.
6. Yep.
Yeah.
Got it.
That's a 12.
Yeah. So a couple of them turn like, "How dare you?" And then they realize it's not.
Throw back my hood.
It's not a fight worth making. It's just not a fight worth making. They've got 5 wolves. They don't need that one. But they do realize the other peasants are coming on them, so they're grabbing up these wolves over shoulders, and they're trying to make their way up and out of they're trying to get away from these other peasants. In a few moments, peasants run past you, chasing these other guys down, and at some point there's going to be a melee between these peasants fighting over the wolves, right?
As the group of peasants go running by, I'll give a tight whistle to try and catch maybe the people who are at the back of that group.
Yep.
To try and catch their attention.
Yeah, not difficult, right? Not difficult.
Okay.
They stop and they slow and stumble and
So
look at you.
I will wave them over to where I'm at, kneeling on this wolf,
Right.
and I'll tell them, if you will help me take this to the tanners, I'll butcher it there. I'll give give the hide to the tanner, and give 3/4 to you, but I will take 1/4 for myself.
Yeah, and they're in agreement. And one of them looks back and whistles for 2 of his buddies, and they come and join. And this is a big wolf. It takes a couple of them to lift this sucker or drag this guy. So 2 or 3 of them are dragging this. Your wolfhounds, of course, whine and they're dragging away that wolf kill. Your wolfhounds aren't happy about it. They tell you they'll meet you. They'll meet you at the tanner when you're available. One of them.
I will not be separated. I will not be separated from my prize.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're leading them toward the tanner. Okay.
I'll look at Videt and I say, it's been a while. I've heard of what has happened to your family. You and I will have to gather at the Blackleaf for a drink to say farewell. And brother, where have you come from?
Looking over at how would Sylvester, what would he be dressed and how would he look?
Sylvester is wearing, basically a dark kind of greenish style cloak. He's probably got just his gambeson on with the jerkin over the front of it with the sigil of Washburn on it. He's medium height, probably somewhere just under 6 foot, maybe 5'8". Very tight curly hair, bushy beard, prominent kind of broad nose, a bit hooked. You can definitely tell that he is of an Italian lineage. He carries himself as if someone who knows the town, who's lived here.
Sure, yeah. Okay. And I would say, I think at this point, as the wolves have kind of dispersed or been killed, I would have fallen down as, maybe because it's muddy or there was some ice on the ground or whatever. And I imagine I would have fallen really close to Vidar. and you can see I've got this like barely contained panic look in my eyes. But I would look over to you and I would say, London, I'm from London, brother Aethelwald.
Okay, as soon as everything went down like that, now I'm pretty shredded through my brown sackcloth of a outfit. I don't have any kind of armor on or anything like that. Just the shield, and I had dropped the shield, and it clangs on the ground. And I stalked up to you as you fell, and huffing and dragging my axe, and I'll pull it up. Even Sylvester, you'll see this, and I put it on my shoulder, and it looks like I grab it with my other hand, like I'm getting ready to lift up in your.
And I'm scrabbling away, backwards away from you on
I'm
all
looking,
fours. Yeah,
I'm looking at you, and that recognition is coming to mind. And I say, Falcon, where's your God now? You said that you would, if I paid tribute, my family, and I do a broad sweep with my arm back toward the river. They're gone, all of them. All of them. Look what in it. You'll see my eyes all red and everything. And I'm trying to restrain myself and tell me what. And then I notice who you are. And then I look peculiar. You're not Falcon. I look around, not knowing what to do. And I get swimmy headed a little bit. And I look at you, and I sigh and drop the axe. And it slides on the ice ground right to your, right in front of you like that. And then I drop on my knees, and then just start to weep, and then fall in front of you with my head down. Okay. So like a lost man, I'm exhausted from expending all that information, all that energy running up there and going berserk kind of, and whatever. You can tell I'm an older man, probably about 30, 35 years old. I've got scars that are set deep. My face, barrel chested, red beard and hair. Definitely, and I speak with the accent that very much, like you said, is reminiscent of the people there.
Yeah,
but
like the Danes or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the first time. Well, you take it as it is what you see, a broken Dane in front of you.
But now you would be speaking the tongue of this land, the I guess English or early English or whatever. Yeah. Okay.
Just not well and with an accent that you recognize.
So as when he hits the ground and, kind of see that he's spent, and I realize how badly injured he is, I say, well, brother, here's your first test. Welcome to Dredgewater. If you can get this man back to the village, apply any healing abilities that you might have, or at least take him to a medicure, but do not let him die. Every man who can swing an axe is as valuable to the town as it is.
And with that, we'll narrate what you guys do in the next couple hours, right? So tell me so I'm assuming, Sylvester, you're going over to the tanner, you're doing what you promised these folks?
Yeah, I go over there. I basically am going to go through stripping the hide, getting it ready to give to, what was his name again, the tanner?
Well, it's Wilcox, but...
Wilcox?
Yeah, Wilcox Tanner. Yeah, he's
Roy?
the one that saved Connor. We said Rory to start, but we just got the name wrong. But it's Wilcox. The name wrong.
Okay,
right.
Wilcox. Okay, yeah, give it to Wilcox, and then I'll quickly, using my a short, thick blade, a boning blade, basically take off the right above the lower pelvic bone, take off that 1/4 at the bottom, and then give the rest to the peasants who helped me bring it over here, and then I'll divide. Debone the 2 legs, 1 leg each for each of the hounds. And then I will, in a kind of an oilcloth, wrap up the pelvic bone with a little bit of meat on it. Because I know there's going to be a lot of marrow in there that I can take back to Blackleaf.
Okay. Sweet. All right. So, Brother Aethelwald, tell me what you do with Vidar in the next hour or so.
Yeah. So Sylvester's words maybe penetrated deeper than I would have expected, right? But recognizing it or believing that it was the truth and that this was that holy sort of test from God, right? And so I would steel my nerve, and I would kind of stand as best I could, and I would attempt to pull the axe up off of the ground, and I imagine I kind of get it up over my shoulder, and I, approach Vidar, and I put it down next to him, and I say, I truly thank you for saving my life. I would not have expected that from, well, I should trust that the Lord will look out for me. My name is Aethelwald.
At that point, I raised my head up and through unashamedly the tears that are flowing or whatever, I blot myself and look up at you and in silence, and then I get up off my knees and stand, and you can tell I'm swaying with the loss of blood, and still I brother, I I believe I've lost my way. I need to find it again. Whereas we should seek out Falcone. And then I stumble a little bit, and I grab my arm. You'll see a gash and see the blood flowing or whatever.
And I would grab you kind of to try to help stabilize you, and I would say, sit. You're in no condition to find your way right now, but let me help see if I can patch you up. And here, take this. And I would hand over this water skin, although it isn't water. It contains a sort of a special beer mead kind of brew from. Well, anyway, it's a brew. Yeah. And I would hand it over to you, and it's supposed to help take away the cold and some of the pain.
Okay.
Yeah.
I crumple like a sack of potatoes. You know what I mean? When I do that, and guide me to the ground, and I'll sit.
Yeah.
And then I lift and almost miss my mouth a couple of times, and I finally drink it down. And you'll tell I was where I was shaking before. I've calmed down a little bit.
Sure.
And it's almost like the cold is somewhat. Anyway, it's somewhat home-like to me. You know what I mean? I breathe out and relax, and I start looking around. I'm still a little bit, like I don't really know where I am. I'm more reflective on things. But anyway, after a time, I'll get up and have a little strength in me, and then we can.
So that with the aid of Henry, who returns with Father Falcone. So you meet Falcone on the, just outside of Dredgewater as he comes running back, leading Falcone, and they help Vidar up.
Good job,
with
Henry.
this drink, they get you back down to Dredgewater to their makeshift. To be quite honest with you, Brother Aethelwald, you can't believe the quality of this chapel. It's sad, right? I mean, it's like 4 wooden walls and a thatched roof, and there's not even pews in this place, right? You walk in, it's like standing room only or kneeling room only kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
they don't even have sacramental wine. It's more like vinegar and
they immediately go to work patching Vidar, and along with your drink is going to stabilize Vidar, but it will take a few hours longer to reduce your injury to battered, my friend. So it'll take Vidar will need a more rest, maybe a night's rest here. However, it's not yet the noon hour when oh God, what's his name? See, I got this. Why we have the NPC cheat sheet, right? Where the man at arms, John of Dredge, finds you, Sylvester, at the tanner at some point, or on your way back from the town, or wherever you're going post Blackleaf Inn, maybe to deliver this, right?
Going on the way to Blackleaf Inn, I've got the little oiled skin hip section of the wolf tucked up underneath my armpit.
Okay.
2 dogs dragging the bone, what's left of the bones that they from the legs.
Okay.
Because I would just debone them raw and leave them, throw them onto the ground for the hounds to have.
Okay.
So,
and they're greedily carrying them along with you as are laying there at your feet as Jules gratefully takes You're delivering this meat to Jules.
Yeah, I'm taking it to Jules. Yeah.
And he is grateful. He thanks you, and he says, "That is quick work. That is quick work, Sylvester. Unbelievable. Apparently, you are a miracle worker."
Apparently, the Lord brought it to our front door.
You speak. He looks about, and from that you get the feeling he's not a Christian, right?
Yeah.
He says, "Yes, the gods work in mysterious ways," but he downplays that very quietly under his breath, as he doesn't want the whole world knowing this pagan conversion is happening.
Yeah.
He gladly takes it and says, "Thank you. We will store this." And that's where John meets you, maybe in the back of the Black Leaf, where you're handing these goods over. And he tells you, "We have Sylvester. We need you and the wolves, and anyone you can take with you. There is rumor of pagans just beyond Dredgewater Downs. They have amassed not far northeast from Dredgewater Downs."
How many?
We do not know, but the word coming down,
okay.
The word coming down is it is a fairly large group.
I'll need to get my arming sword and stop off at the barracks for my brigandine, but I'll ready up and be good to go in a little while.
Worst case scenario, if it is a mass, do not try to fight themselves. Protect or bring Martin from the Dredgewater Downs to the palisade. We will deal with any large threat. Assess the situation for us best you can.
Will do, Cap.
And we'll fast forward time, right? We're just gonna again narrate, right? Ethelweld, it's getting dark. Again, winter here, so it's dark fairly quickly. Vidar is improving. He is now at again, he is injured. Yeah. So I can't reverse this injury this quickly, but he's stable. You have had an opportunity to meet Falcone. Okay. Tell me about Falcone. Tell me what you think of Father Falcone.
Yeah.
Describe him. Tell me what you think of this man. Who is this guy?
I think that Father Falcone is someone who attempts to look and behave above his station or above his surroundings. So he's trying to
putting on airs.
Yes, he's trying to be the most like regal and holy looking person in this just absolute backwater hovel of a place. But maybe not as ostentatious as the Lord because of this, or the, Lord, whatever his name is, right. Because, that wouldn't be safe. But he also, I believe, has kind of like a permanent sneer on his face when talking to me anyway. Okay. I don't get good.
Looks down on you?
Yes, 100%. And I think he's angry because he, I've kind of been sent here from the Archbishop in London to do essentially what he should be doing, which is converting the pagans in the surrounding area. And so, but he's well versed in politics and in diplomacy, and so I think he makes a subtle showing of his feelings towards me, but is generally at least acting as though he would be helpful. Okay. But basically tells me that of course I can. Right. Well, but saying more like you're welcome to stay, here in the church, obviously, and partake of any food and whatever that we have. Okay. Obviously, anything that you if you want to minister or whatever, do what you want to do, but just otherwise stay out of my way. Yeah.
Yeah. He will also add to that. You should present yourself to the lady. As she is going to want to know you're here. I will take care of Vidar.
Very good.
So he deigns that there's some respect there, but he basically tells you need to go talk to Lady Washburn, right?
Yeah.
Right. You accuse him to basically, you need to go see the Lord and the lady, right? So he's putting you in your place in that way, right? Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I certainly would. I think before presenting myself in front of Lady Esmeralda, though, I believe that's her name, right?
Yeah. Esmeralda Washburn,
I would pull out my my better, vestments or whatever. The ones that are clean, that don't have wolf blood and maybe Dane blood on them, for all I know.
Yeah, Vidar's blood all over you.
Yeah, yeah. And I would go to like kind of straighten back my hair, but then realizing I don't really have any. But it kind of indicates that at one point I may have,
right,
or may have taken some kind of pride where I shouldn't
right.
have.
Okay.
And so yeah, I would do that, and then I would look around and find we had brought in my brewing contraptions,
Yep.
and I would kind of put those over to the side, but pull whatever's left of the skin that I have with that brew in it, and I would take
Okay.
maybe a long draft, and then I would make my way towards the keep or whatever
Okay.
whatever it happens to be, the Lord's Manor.
Okay.
To present myself.
Let's make a quick luck check here, sir, against 5.
Okay.
So
all right, got it on a 7.
okay, so as you're preparing, and you're preparing to leave, you've dressed yourself up, you're preparing to leave, you notice Falcone with a kind of a laugh and a smirk on his face as you're headed out the door.
Okay.
This might signal that it would be, you get the sense that he's sent you on an errand that might not be well received.
Yeah.
Okay.
I figured as much, but I also believe that Falcone is not going to be the person that is best suited to get to my mission here, right? And
Yep.
so
Yes.
and so I will present myself at the keep, or what I guess, what is it a keep even?
So everything
like,
is wooden and
kinda,
made of mud
yeah,
and earth,
all
and
right.
there's not a
Yeah.
lot of Roman
Yeah.
recycled stuff here, right? There are Roman
Sure.
ruins, and there are places that are recycled the stone, but this is all wooden,
Yep.
thatch. So there's a
So
14-foot
yeah.
palisade gate that's barred.
Yeah.
You cross a drawbridge over a
Yep.
swampy moat, and
Mhm.
because it's barred, you'll have to address to get in.
Mhm.
Of course, once you state who you are. But let's as you make that traverse, let's go to Vidar. Vidar, Falcone kind of mothers you, right? As you were wounded. I don't know, after you've watched him and Brother Aethelwald exchange pleasantries, get to know each other, assess each other. You may have been paying partial attention to this.
I woke in because I've been having fevered dreams,
Right.
and they probably heard me muttering my wife's name, and then I wake up to the smell of lavender, which is on the bed to keep the fleas away. The little hay pallet
Yep.
that I'm lying on, and I feel a little bit. I feel famished, and so I roll up. Father, food. Do you have any food?
Yeah, he turns and crosses to the small table, brings over a hot bowl of gruel, maybe
Gonna
beans
grab it
and
greedily and
potatoes.
eat. I haven't eaten in like 3 days.
Right.
You know what I
And,
mean? So
while he does, he says a soft prayer, and he basically whispers to you while you eat prayers for your wife and your child. Vidar, she should have had a Christian burial. You should have allowed me to reside over her burial. And so he kind of
I avert my eyes when he says that. Like
Right.
shame, because I wasn't thinking about witnessing the smoke. You know what I mean?
right.
And so I just I avert my eyes down like that. But Father, you're God. You said, and I reiterate, you said if I would pay my tithes, He would protect me, and I've lost everything. And then I kind of call myself from breaking down again as that realization hits me, and I calm myself down and listen to what he said while I continue eating my gruel in silence.
So he, on one hand, is praying, but on the other hand, kind of scolding you. At this point, when you say what you say, he says, that is not the work of God. Your tithings will protect your wife and child, as well as your soul. The flooding of dredge, the famine, that is Satan's work. That is this pagan work. And if anything, look deep in your soul, Vidar, that maybe if you hold hope for the pagan gods, you might well have brought their demise.
Pagans. Pagans, but you said that the land is of the one God.
It is.
And
But
now you say pagans are around.
have you totally forsaken? Have you accepted Christ as the one God? You must do so.
God, I accept him on the land.
You must do so. You may well be, unfortunately.
I am on the land. I am on the land, but
we will baptize you again once you are on your feet. Maybe tomorrow morning we will let Brother Ethelwold baptize you. Rest now. And we'll cut over to Sylvester. Think on that, Vidar.
I will.
I hate that guy so much right now.
Yeah. It's very accommodating.
Uh-huh.
Sylvester, so as you approach Dredgewater Downs with your hounds leading the way, now it's dark, right? Go ahead.
Just to make sure. So now, am I the only person who is going to be doing this?
Well, that's up to you. If you want to tell me that you've gathered up a couple of peasants who would certainly accept orders from you.
Well, there's anybody else in the barracks who is underneath me as far as being in a group of scouts and rangers that I could collect, 1 or 2 people?
Yeah, they would be young. They'd be young,
okay.
Like bucks, right? You've got
so as I'm finishing up,
what is your prestige 2?
My prestige is 2.
So we'll give you 2 more. So you got your 2 wolfhounds. We'll give you 2 soldiers that are ultimately young men under your guidance, right?
Guidance and training.
Yep. So you've got 2 mook soldiers. We're gonna call them.
I got some names for you.
Oh, you do? Okay. Well, you name them. You name them.
Rolf, ROLF, and Marcus.
And Marcus, love it. Rolf and Marcus, and they'll do whatever you tell them. But it's getting dark. It's very cold. Yeah. You see many torches about as peasants are actually fairly active, trying to stay warm. Many are in their hovels, but those that are. It's been busier after sunset in the winter than you would like it to be.
Okay.
This you can only guess could lead to vigilante activities, pagan Christian battles, potential theft of food stores. Who knows, right? But it's unnerving to see how many peasants gather around fires and with torches and pitchforks, etc.
So that Martin was the name of the individual we were trying to find, right?
Yeah, well, so Martin actually runs the Dredgewater Washburn Arms. So he runs the.
Okay.
It's just like an inn at the crossroads, and there's one lone little chapel, which is like a tiny little chapel.
Washburn Arms. Okay.
Yeah. So the Washburn Arms. So Martin is just the proprietor, and he runs the Washburn Arms on behalf of the Washburns. It's an inn, maybe 3 or 4 room inn, right? It's not like a bar. It's more of a place you can stay.
Like a way house
at the crossroads, right? It takes you, takes you about 30 minutes to walk there. It's not very far, up and over the rise.
Whereas we were kind of approaching, I'm gonna, I tell Rolf and Marcus, to kind of go off towards the right, to flank up to the right, that they are to stick together, that they're not to engage, that we're here to just kind of see what's happening. I'll approach Washburn Arms myself with the hounds.
Okay.
But in the event that a fight breaks out, I do want you to rally to me.
Okay.
Our goal is to make sure that Martin makes it back to the stockade. We're here to collect him and any information that we can find out about what's going on tonight in Dredgewater Downs.
Yeah. On your way, you come across in the distance up the old Roman trail road. Before you get to the crossroads, is a wagon sitting in the road, abandoned. As you're giving them orders, you guys go right, don't engage. Your wolfhounds are whining and their snouts are in the air as you see this wagon probably 25 yards from you, abandoned. In the darkness, you can make it out against the silhouette of the horizon, right?
Okay. So I'll, kind of make a silencing motion, and then point at the wagon and tell them same thing, go to the right, and I will approach on the road.
Okay. So as you make your way up to this wagon, you get closer and closer. There doesn't appear to be anyone around at all.
Okay.
It is a fairly large wagon. I mean, this would have been well, let's put it this way. It would belong to a merchant or a craftsman. This is not a dumpy old peasant's wagon. And as you approach, it's covered. It's covered in hay and a tarp. And the dogs are whimpering and they're up on it, smelling, rooting around. You sense from your dogs that that's something when they're smelling good food, they're smelling something they can eat.
Okay. So I'll look around on the ground. Since it's winter, there should be plenty of patches of snow and ice and everything sitting around. So I'm going to look for any sign of tracks, the direction which anybody who was the owner of this wagon may have gone.
Right.
The bow is out, the arrow is knocked. But I am going to kind of be circling the wagon with the intention of spiraling back around to where the dogs are kind of, maybe nibbling at the hay or pulling some hay out. And then
from them, it's a fairly positive, right?
Okay.
It's a positive whimper and an excitement kind of. Meanwhile, as you circle the wagon, you do ultimately, out of the corner of your eye, see over off the road, there is a body. However, you've seen, unfortunately, bodies recently about where they've died frozen to death or they've died from famine. However, he is well dressed. From this angle, you can see this is a well dressed individual. You can see where they had horses hooked to this wagon that are now gone. Somebody took the horses and headed, by the way, north from here. That would be, so you're roughly, Dredgewater Downs really is, let's see where you're at. Let's see here.
It's about a mile east of here, right? Yeah.
So this horse or whatever, I'll ping it right there. It looks like it's headed that direction, right? Ethelweld, of course, is going into the manse, and we have Vidar in Dredgewater. Okay. Sorry, I had to get our little icons organized.
You're good.
Okay.
You're good. So checking out the body, any identifying
the dogs at that
sigil?
point, the dogs pay attention to what you're doing and they come over.
I'll kind of whistle to make sure that they do come.
Mm-hmm.
I know I can't read, but I'll look for any parchment or anything that may signify some type of writ or a seal. I could at least recognize a symbol. So you,
as you flip him over, he is in black cloak with gold. This is the livery of Mort of Mort's livery, right? So you can assess this guy might have been a Mort mercenary, a Mort someone who worked for Mort, von Mort, Vadamot Mort, which is of course. And his body's still warm. He has been skewered, it looks like, and battered about pretty bad. Like somebody may have multiple wounds. He's been stabbed, he's been battered, but the body is still warm. So this has occurred in probably the last 30 minutes or so. I mean, it's so cold that it's warm, but it's hard to tell exactly how long ago because he would put off enough heat despite the cold.
Well, if he's one of Mort's men, then I'll stand up, kind of give him a little bit of a kick, and then go back to the wagon and start pulling at the hay that the dogs were digging at. Yeah.
So as you do, you pull through this, you unearth sacks of potatoes. There's some fish, some meat. It's as you go around the wagon, unearthing corners of the wagon, and then maybe climb up into the wagon and more. It's packed full of food. Absolutely, packed full of food.
I'll kind of, hold my hand up, give a fist, and then just kind of pull everybody into me, giving Rolf and Marcus the signal to come in. How is it possible that a group of men could push this wagon?
You certainly could. It would be difficult to steer, and it would be heavy.
Okay.
I mean, remember, Dredgewater Downs there's a rise, and Dredgewater Downs goes down the rise, so you'd have to push it up a rise and then into Dredgewater. The reality is, though, you're only 100 yards from the crossroads.
Yeah.
6 o'clock in the evening, cold, and you knew there were pagans about. So I mean, this sucker is exposed,
Yeah.
right? So I'm gonna let you think on that. We're gonna go back to
Okay.
Brother Aethelwold, right? And remember, guys, don't be afraid to fast forward time. Don't be afraid to tell me, right? So
Yeah. Well,
you
and
can
in
certainly
fact,
do that, Sylvester. You can kind of tell me how you go about things, right? Okay.
yeah.
It's the same with Vidar, right?
I'm going to do something similar in that I have no intention of presenting myself to Lady Washburn directly, because that would not be proper at all.
Okay.
But I would present myself to the Lord Washburn with a note from the Archbishop, just basically stating, and a purse somewhat heavy, filled with coin to help the poor downtrodden peasants of this land,
Okay.
and basically just letting him know that that London has heard his lady's call for God's aid to help convert the pagans, and they've sent me to aid in that effort.
Okay.
And that,
yeah, you've never met him before, but he's middle-aged, 32 maybe, but he looks worse for wear. He looks like he's the stress of the current situation is weighed on him. He looks tired. He's edgy. However, he's grateful. He tells you, Father Falcone, of course, if you have not yet met him, but I'm assuming you guys had this conversation. You've explained where it's happened, and you're here. He tells you, Lady Esmeralda, we will certainly have you stay here if you want to in the palisade. And of course, it's nicer than, of course, the chapel. It's nicer than what you've seen him, but it's still a wooden, open room, multiple floors, like 3-tier floors. He says you're welcome to stay here among my family and in the Dredgetown, in the manse. He tells you that it would be best to meet Lady Washburn tomorrow when she is available. But he thanks you profusely, and he says, we face hard times, Father, and it is the dilemma between this pagan rituals and what we have seen. We fear there is that God himself is punishing. I should have been more vigilant for years to convert the pagans, and I fear maybe I have run out of time. He averts his eyes as he is clearly pained by this, that he feels he's responsible for the famine and for the flooding of the river. And you pick up in the conversation that because he can't handle maybe his responsibility, he is foisting more of this resentment upon the pagan cultists. In the conversation, you can glean that everyone who's a pagan is a cultist, which is not true.
Is not true.
But he's decided all pagans are cultists. Right?
Yeah. And so to attempt to sort of maybe bring a little bit of comfort, but also to maybe tone down the crazy just a little, I'll be like, well, the God that I know is a God of love and forgiveness, not one of divine retribution. Used to be the case, but no, you've tried your best. And look, he has sent me here to help, to aid you.
Exactly my thoughts as well, Brother Aveld. I'm so thrilled to hear you are in agreement that it is not my fault. It is the pagans. It is these cultists. I am so happy you were here.
And and I say,
I think we cracked up, Sylvester.
It's and I'm like, well, don't you worry. The pagans they'll be a challenge to deal with, but there is no challenge too great for God and for the word. But I would give you some advice.
Right.
In the meantime, do not look on everyone who causes trouble as pagans and cultists. Some are just poor, starving Christians that are desperate. I recommend you use the gift that God has provided you, and I kind of motion to the sack of coins there, to whether it is buy provisions or do whatever you can to help feed the people, to perhaps set up fires or makeshift camps somewhere where they can at least have a little bit of comfort and to see their Lord's generosity. Well, boy, that will help a lot in the conversion of the pagans.
Let's make a luck check modified by your prestige, sir, with that. So you'll get to add your luck and your prestige if you have both.
Okay, I don't believe I have luck, but I do have prestige.
This is going to be a moderate check, so 7. I'll go ahead and tell you the numbers just so it's easier.
Okay. Let's see. I think so 1d12 plus, I think I only have 1 prestige. Okay.
Okay.
So let's see. Oh, missed it.
Oh, so close.
Yeah.
With that, he says, Brother Ethelweld, we are thrilled to have you here to convert these pagans, and I will provide you with soldiers that will aid you in any way to make sure these pagans are saved. But I have advisors to how I will deal with this peasant famine. So he basically tells you, I don't need your advice.
Yep.
For the peasants, right?
And picking up on that, I would say, of course, my lord, I've overstepped my place, and I am sorry for that.
No,
your generosity is more.
You mean well, but I will deal with that. So he takes a little umbrage to your advice about how to save the peasants.
Yep.
He then invites you to eat with him, and he's surrounded. His children aren't here. His wife's not here. He has surrounded himself in a private chamber in which he invites you to sit and dine with him. And he sits some young soldiers down that he says are part of his house guard, and these will be the men that will aid you in converting these pagans. Do not hesitate to use their sword. Do not hesitate to use their whip to put these pagans in order. That isn't. He doesn't say that lightly. He's pretty much saying.
Yeah, there's that fervor there.
Yeah.
He's like,
and you get the sense that they're going to be watching you for him as well. Okay. So
understood. Conversion by fire and blood is the preferred method.
Maybe not for you, but he's certainly
for for him and and perhaps for the
he's desperate.
The religious authority of this town.
Dealt with. Yeah.
I got you.
All right, so let's go to Vidar real quick. Vidar, you are feeling much better, of course.
Well, I sit there and I sit down the bowl, and it's about 3/4 eaten. And oddly enough, the bowl sits there as I stand up, and there's a look of determination that just I'd been chewing on what Father Falcone said, and yes, it was a land of the gods, but if the pagans are back, as they say, and that's what either Wilcox or Rory, the tanner, had mentioned. Okay, so that sinks in a little bit.
It's understandable. Your grief from having buried your wife and child. It's understandable that you would have thought Wilcox was Rory. Totally understandable.
Yeah. Well, I stand up and look at determination. I said, they need to be eradicated from the land. But Washburn can't do it hidden in his keep. Now he needs to go out, and then I start immediately. I pick up my shield. I will don my chain, Mel, and over my tunic, which is basically just that sackcloth peasant wear. But I wear that, and I walk out into the main thing, and I'll start looking at, because I recall that Sylvester said he would meet me at just on the peripheral,
right?
Meet me at the Blackwater.
Okay.
And I get in sight, and I walk over toward the Blackwater and start asking around for where he was. And during that duration of time, whether or not I find him at the crossroads.
Okay.
I'll determine that.
As you do approach the Blackwater, you stumble on a group of Blackleaf. I'm sorry. What did I say? Blackleaf. The end. You do in the street stumble across.
I'm stuck in Joth.
That's all right, brother. That's all right. I knew what you were talking about. We're on the same page. Black something, good. Right? With this flood, it's Black Mold Inn is what it is.
Yeah.
You come across a group of torch-bearing peasants. You recognize these guys. They're as a peasant, you probably had broke bread with him. You'd worked with him. You labored with him, and you recognize a couple of these. And there's about 4 or 5 of them, and they are carrying what they can: torches, pitchforks, and they are telling you, "Join us, Vidar. We are going out to hunt pagans. We are going out to hunt Mortsmen." They
Under
are
whose authority?
suggesting vigilante justice here.
Okay, I look over at there at Washburn's Keep. Do I see any? Have you seen Sylvester? Isn't he one of Washburn's men?
Yes, Sylvester. We have not seen him since he was here before sundown. But we have not seen him in a couple of hours.
You go out to look for pagans.
We
Under
go
whose
out.
authority?
We go out to do what the town crier screams for. To eliminate strangers, to get rid of Mort's interlopers, and if we have to, find those pagan cultists.
You follow me. I know a man who can lead us. And then
Okay.
let's go find Sylvester. And let me see if I can sway him to do that.
Sweet. Oh no, they're already wanting to go. So yeah, they'll
Okay.
follow you because they're ready to go do something. They're ready to go kick somebody's butt. They're
Yeah,
ready to go.
I just kind of sneered at that keep. I was like, he's not going to do anything. We need to take this, matters in our own hands. Yeah,
Right.
you're right.
Okay, so you're headed off. All right, so let's go back to Sylvester, and he has a wagon that we have to do something with.
Okay. So I've got Rolf and Marcus. I'm showing them what we have in front of us. I tap the end of my bow on Rolf's chest and I say, "You need to return back to the stockade and find John, and you talk to no one else. If you, on your way back, see anyone, you avoid them. As fast as you can, you tell them what we have found. You are to bring men and horses back here immediately. This wagon needs to go back to our stockade." I point over at the body just a little ways away, and I say, "That is one of Mort's men. So he's met his demise at someone else's hand. They've stolen his horses. Now we will steal his goods."
Yeah, and by decree,
So-
technically,
Yeah.
it's legal to kill him because he's an offender. Yeah.
I point off in the direction back to town, and give Rolf a good kick in the ass. And then as soon as he is out of earshot, I turn to Marcus and I say, "Pilfer what you can for yourself and for Rolf. But the rest we will have to make sure that it goes back to the stockade as soon as we can.
Okay.
Once you're ready to go and we have our own stores, then we'll make our way on to the crossroads and we'll try and find Martin and convince him to come back to the stockade with us."
Okay, so we just need to make a simple prestige check. This will be easy to make sure that Rolf succeeds at his orders. So add your prestige to this.
Okay, so that's yep, 2. So that's +2. If I remember correctly, right? Oh no, wait a second. Sorry, wrong one.
That's pretty awesome.
+2.
Oh, you got it.
5. Yeah, nah. Ralph, you dumbass.
That sets your mind at ease that Rolf, you hope he doesn't run into any old friends along the way.
He's nodding his head. Yeah,
You got a pretty good idea he's going to do what you told him.
Freaking gets lost.
And we're assuming you picked the kid that's a little more responsible for this, right?
I'm
Marcus,
hoping
you couldn't
so,
trust,
man.
but Rolf, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Apparently, they don't pay attention.
Right. So Rolf,
You know what scat is, son?
He's off and running. Marcus is all ready. The minute you say he's free to take some, he's stuffing stuff in his jerkin.
Yeah.
He's
Get you some
he's
potatoes, boy.
He's got an apple in his mouth as you speak. Right. So he's piling what he can in his stuff.
Yeah.
And at some point he stands up in the back of the wagon and he kind of, with a handful of bread and another apple in his hand, points back toward Washburn Arms. "What about Martin and the pagans?"
Well, we're only making a stop here. We haven't even completed most of our journey yet. So
Okay.
stuff your mouth on the way and let's beat feet. And I whistle for the hounds to gather up, and we continue on towards Washburn Arms.
Yeah, and you're only
Again,
you're only about 75 yards from that, right?
Yeah.
So you can see it. I mean, you can actually see it.
Yeah.
There's no torches lit. I mean, before you approach, you can just look over
It's
and
dark?
see. It's dark, right? There's no lamps in the windows. The inn itself is dark. The chapel, totally dark. Of course, the chapel, nobody's attending the chapel. The chapel on Sundays or on the Sabbath, one of the Father Falcone would come out here and do a service. So this is generally empty, this chapel. But before you approach, you can see it's dark.
Okay,
no
so
sign
circling.
of. I'm sorry.
Circling Washburn, the Arms.
Yep.
Since we can see it's dark, trying to make our way around. Whichever side has the least amount of windows that can view the exterior is the side that we'll approach from.
Right.
And from there, we'll get to a corner. I'll tell the dogs to stay at this corner, and then I myself and Marcus will start, kind of duck walking our way up around towards the front.
Okay.
Trying to, stop by a window, try and give a little listen, see if we can hear anything from the inside.
Yeah, it's odd because being the Washburn Inn, you think there'd be some travelers staying at the inn. However, because strangers aren't welcomed lately, it's empty. I mean, there doesn't appear to be anything going on inside. It's quiet.
So not even a hearth fire is lit.
No, it's almost as if it's been abandoned for the last day or two. But
really?
That's what you can tell from outside.
Okay. So if we don't hear anything, going by the windows, and we're kind of figuring this all out, we get up to the front.
The dogs don't. I mean, the dogs with their snout and their ability, the dogs don't appear to be unnerved. It's right.
Okay. Once we get to the front, kind of kneeling down, push on the front door, dogs at my back.
Right.
Marcus on the other side of the door.
Okay.
Is the door unlocked or unbarred?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so we'll push or pull it open, and then I'll motion for the dogs to go in.
Okay. The dogs, of course, follow you in, or they'll lead the way.
No, they
whatever
go in
signal
first.
You give, they'll go.
Yeah,
first.
I just kind of make a motion to wave them in,
and
because
they scramble
definitely
around,
have
snouts in the air like they're hunting something.
Yeah.
They up on the bar, smelling around, back through into the kitchens of the inn.
Okay.
And
Marcus and I will then make our way in. If there's no event
Right.
that happens within the front room, we'll
and then
start sweeping the
there's
building.
one stairwell up to the second level where there's three
Okay,
rooms.
Give a whistle, just point trained,
Okay.
and point upstairs, and let the dogs go up first. Tell Marcus to get his bow out,
Okay.
and we will follow up. About. We wait for the dogs to get about halfway up the steps before we start kind of coming up the steps behind them. But we're going to watch whatever is up above us. Is there like a balcony style balustrade or anything up top, or does it go up to a door and then go into someplace?
There is exactly that, a balustrade, and then it goes up onto a second. So the rooms are interior. They're not outside wall rooms. So when you go up, it's like it would go around the outside, and these rooms would have interior doors. So all the rooms would be in the center of the ceiling, so to speak.
Okay.
These three rooms. So you actually walk around the edges of the outside of this this Arms. Interior bedrooms or interior rooms, a couple of windows on each side. As you pass around to the back side of the house, which would be the north side of the upstairs, the dog's smelling at every door. Well, there's only about three doors. There's three rooms. But you spot out the window torches in the distance north. You can see a group of torches as if somebody's hiking away or toward you. You can't tell which direction they're going just yet, but there's a mass of torches.
Okay. On foot, just to give me some timing here, on foot from the wagon back to Dredgewater, about how long should it take Rolf if he's smart enough to complete this task?
Oh, running. You told him run. 15 minutes.
Yeah, run.
15 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I got about half an hour round trip to deal with here, possibly.
Yep. Depending on whether he can rouse the help and get all the stuff. Yep. But they would have horses at that point.
Okay, so no inhabitants in any of the rooms.
The dogs are completely disinterested, so they're not
Okay.
picking up a scent or anything. Right.
So we're going to stay in this room for now, where we can view the torches from this vantage point.
Okay.
And try to determine, are they coming towards us? Are they moving away from us? I know from where we were at the wagon that wherever the horses went, they went north too.
Yep.
So either the thieves or the brigands took the horses to meet this group, or they're all part of the same group and heading one way, is what I'm thinking.
Right.
And
I'll tell you, you can mull this.
Yeah.
You can tell they're coming back toward.
We can tell they're coming
Washburn
towards
Arms.
us. Okay. How quick is their pace seem to be coming?
Oh, they're walking.
They're walking.
They're not
okay.
hustling. They're walking, but they are coming back. And
okay. So
yep.
So
think
will.
On that. Think on that while we go over to the vigilante real quick. All right, you're leading vigilantes here, Vidar, toward where you knew Sylvester was going. You are muted. Hopefully you're okay, right? You okay?
Yeah. I was just waiting for the dog.
And you, let's make an observation check here with your group. This is going to be easy, so just make a simple mind check. If you don't have mind, no sweat, but it's simple. It's a 4 check.
Get one mind.
Wow, so you can read.
Yeah, I can read runes. That's 9.
9, beautiful.
Yeah.
So you spot with your group, all of them with you, make it easier as they're all looking and you're all marching, torches, etc., toward Washburn Arms. You, out of the corner of your eye, maybe a couple of men to hear it, somebody trying to run around you in the, and hopefully not be seen, headed south toward Dredgewater.
Okay. Once I detect this, I give everybody a halt. I just stop, and they could bump into me or run into me or whatever. And they see immediately that my attention, I'm overly like trying to train in on where this person is or this thing is that's trying to get around us. Right? Obviously, it's in hiding. It's trying to leave us. So, and then I point that way. They're a pagan, I bet.
Oh,
Let's
shit.
see.
All right. That's not going to take much, my friend. Let's make a luck check.
Okay.
This is going to be hard. You're going to need a 10.
Okay. Luck. I have 1 luck. All right. So here we go. Oh, man.
Okay.
All right. It's 9.
They don't need much urging. Before you know what you've said, before you know what's going on, they break from you and they run, chasing this figure into the dark. You can hear him screaming as he's running from them. No, I'm a soldier. And you hear them kind of in the distance as these guys have now all took off after him. They're looking for someone to punish, and you have succeeded in sending them. Before you realize that he might well be, a Washburn soldier or maybe not a pagan.
Oh yeah, but I'm geared up to find me some pagans to string them up. It's mob mentality, baby. That's
so
what
you're standing for the most part, unless you follow them. You're standing alone now, as they've all taken off, right?
Yeah, no, I'll follow in suit. I'll follow in suit.
Okay, so you're chasing them too. Okay.
Yeah, I'll wait till they pass to make sure everybody goes.
Okay.
But
and you can hear somebody screaming as they run away. Now, what you've done is detoured them from Dredgewater, right? They were headed south. You were headed north. You pushed them, and now they're running, right? They're running east away from Dredgewater, right?
Well, if he didn't have anything to worry about, he wouldn't be running away. So that's my mentality. Is we're chasing, is we're harrying him down,
Right. All right, let's go to Brother Aethelwald. Brother Aethelwald, you have broke bread now with Washburn. You have heard his somewhat delusional, frustrated, angry, maybe sleep deprived take on the situation. He has introduced you to the soldiers that will be helping you in this. He's thinking he can have this pagan problem sewn up and as quick as possible. Get you out of here. You and Falcone can take care of this very quickly. There's plenty of Christians who will help you and support you in this matter. And then he resigns himself to bed. He says, "You're free to stay here. My servants will show you the way." Or you, of course, if you have somewhere else you'd rather stay. He recommends the Gold Leaf Inn as the finest establishment, not my palace, or my manse. However, Samantha charges a nice fee for that opportunity. It is, of course, the flood has endangered it a bit, but it is not unsound as of yet to stay at the Gold Leaf Inn.
Yeah. And I would thank him, and I would take my leave, having no intention of staying in the manse or at the Gold Leaf Inn. But what I would have been doing, kind of not necessarily inconspicuously, but if I was allowed to get away with it, I would have been taking, like, an apple here or a roll there or whatever, and kind of, putting them in pockets and whatever. And then I would say, although the hour is late, being that I am new here, I would like to take a quick look around town as much as the cold will permit. Right. And then I will make my way to the church or whatever to bed down. And what, as I were leaving, are my babysitters going to follow me?
No,
or are
they will.
No.
They will ultimately coordinate with you when you would like them. Where you can be found tomorrow and at what time would you like us to join you. So they'll allow you to tell them all that, and they'll just join you wherever you say. Right.
Okay. Yeah, I would tell them, to.
And of course, you can be truthful, or you can mislead.
Sure. No, that's fine. I would ask that they meet me in the town square at sunup, prepared to leave. Okay. And so, but what I would do at that point is I would go out into Dredgewater, and any like pockets or groups of peasants that I see, I would try to distribute some of the food and perhaps a blessing, bless the water or whatever they're drinking. And at one point, as my food stores are starting to run really low and I just have one loaf of bread left, I am realizing that, like, this is ridiculous. There's way too many mouths to feed. I think I might, like, drop to my knees, kind of a little bit in despair, but also more in a pleading manner. And I would hold up the bread, and I would imagine that, my breath is almost like frosting around it as it's just so cold, and I'm like trembling from the cold, looking up at the moon, and just saying, my God, please, why, show me what I'm supposed to do. How am I supposed to help these people? Please let this bread feed these people as, you did with your son to show them the way. Let me break this bread and feed these hungry masses. For, if we can show them, your mercy and your love, then perhaps they can help in this conversion of the pagans, and bring them into your light without bloodshed, for you've commanded us not to kill. So, please let me do. And so I will say, please bless this bread and let it feed the rest of the hungry. And so I will try to break it. And
this will be you're calling upon a miracle, my friend. This is going to be a hard check using your spirit plus your crucifix.
Okay.
So plus 3, you need a 10. I'm going to go ahead and just tell you need a 10.
Okay.
I don't like people being in the dark.
Yes.
Oh,
13.
Nice. So it
Praise
does. It seems as while you're in this meditative state of prayer, and you feel people come and take rip bread from the loaf, and then rip more bread from a loaf, and it seems like this goes on forever, and you just like have infinite apples and bread and cheese, and it seems like you're here in this meditative state, and never do you run out as they pull this bread and tear this bread free. They thank you, and as you stir from this meditation, you also have a flash at the same time. Why is Falcone not bringing these people into the chapel? Why is Falcone not shepherding these Christians, these pagans, these people? So you also have an epiphany, so to speak, that there is grotesque incompetence of Falcone's work upon behalf of the Dredgewater residents. That's a repute point, my friend, as it is the will not forget the miracle that Ethelwold Day One has served. And they are, when you stir and you come kind of back to your senses and you realize now you have no food left, everyone is kneeling or sitting around you, eating this plentiful, bountiful, right, gift from God.
Yeah.
And you can spend that repute point immediately on a attribute now if you want to, or you can think about a narrative way to improve something. It's up to you, right?
Well, I think that my spirit and my faith has been bolstered so much that I will increase my spirit to a 3.
Sweet.
Yeah, because I think that's only fitting.
Oh yeah, you definitely are imbued with the God. I mean, it's like you feel now a connection to the Lord, right?
Yeah, and I imagine almost as the sun or as the moon is probably starting to wane and it's long past midnight maybe and morning is only a short time away. I've been awake this whole time, but I'm energized, and I would start to just preach to the people, just letting them know, like, even in the hardest times, trust in God to be there. And sometimes you'll have to endure more than you think you can bear, but if you keep your faith, you'll get through it. And
So
remember this miracle today. I deliver a sermon.
Spirit of 3, you've at some point during this 3 pagans tell you tomorrow when you are doing your baptisms, we will be there, brother. So you've actually got 3 pagans here among this group that have sworn to convert tomorrow when you're baptized, right?
Job's done. Right. I can go home.
But you've stirred pagans now to recognize the power of your God, right?
Yes.
So we're going to go now to Sylvester. Sylvester, they're now, you're seeing them move. It's been about 15, a little longer, maybe 30, 40 minutes, and no Rolf, right? He hadn't come back with the horses. They have gotten very close to the house. However, they don't appear to know anything about the wagon. It's like they're stopped maybe 25 yards from the crossroads, and you can see the torches, and then you see them kind of break off. 3 or 4 of them go west, a couple of them go east, and 2 of them come toward Washburn Arms. Two people with torches. You're muted.
Okay, so with Marcus and I, we will make our way downstairs before they can actually get to the front of the building.
Right.
We are going to, so that downstairs, standard in kind of like style setup.
Right.
Tables, chairs, whatnot.
Yep.
We are going to take up.
I mean, it's kind of a short ceilings, very claustrophobic, really. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a pub.
Yeah.
Down here almost. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to tell Marcus that he is to stay upstairs, but to gain a vantage point where he can see the door. Mm-hmm. And I will go downstairs behind the bar with the 2 dogs.
Okay.
And just kind of wait, head just a little bit above the bar so I can actually see. Before I do that, I am going to make sure that the front door is shut.
Okay.
Not barred. I'm going to leave it the way we found it.
Right.
But then hurry back around behind the bar, just kind of looking over the top of it, arrow ready to go in the bow, just kind of waiting to see who comes in that front door.
Okay.
I'm hoping it's going to be Martin by chance, but we'll see.
Oh no, it is Martin as he comes in. However, he's someone with him you do not recognize, cloaked, in a ratty old. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
As the door comes open, is Martin the first? Can I see by his silhouette that it's Martin?
He's leading the way. Like, it's his establishment. He's leading them in.
I'm gonna kind of duck quickly down below the door.
Okay.
Marcus kind of has the same instructions. Don't do anything until I do.
Right. Okay. And he invites this person in. They say something in Gaelic that do you understand Gaelic?
I got a mind of one. I can barely.
Let's make a roll. Let's see. Let's make a luck check modified by your mind. So instead of adding luck, add your mind. Right.
Okay. So 0 on either. Right. Straight up D12.
Okay. Yep. And it's going to be hard. 8, actually. Tough.
No.
Yeah.
I have no idea what it sounds like jabber to me.
Well, you recognize that it is a version of old Celtic, old Gaelic language, but it's ancient.
No idea.
The gentleman with him, as you peek over the bar, the dogs, of course, I'm assuming they know to stay.
Yeah.
Right.
Stay quiet. Does the tone of the conversation sound friendly?
Yes. Yeah, they're speaking. Okay. It is friendly. However, Martin takes a subordinate role to this stranger in the cloak with the hood, ratty old skin. He's got, you recognize it as someone who's spent time hunting, etc. Druid beads, druid teeth, etc. He's got an old dagger and a staff. This is some kind of pagan priest or something, and he is deferring to him, right? As if he's being given orders.
Where does it sound like where's the movement going in the room? I mean, if it sounds
it's like they just came in the door, and it's like they're standing in the middle of the tables, empty tables. Like they're just standing in the middle of the room. They're just standing in the middle of the room having their conversation.
I'm not going to do anything unless it sounds like that someone is going to walk around the bar where they can see me kneeling back here. Other than that, I'm going to stay here and just kind of listen, even though I can't understand what's being said.
Shortly, the druid leaves. I mean, he actually leaves Washburn. He leaves the arms out, shuts the door, and you hear Martin shifting tables and things around, mumbling to himself. And
how much light is now kind of in this little pub area? Is it kind of dimly lit?
No, he just had the torch, so it's lighting the 5 feet around him, 6 feet around him. Yeah.
So when I hear him kind of shuffling around, a little far away from me, I'll go ahead and stand up, but I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just gonna be standing there watching him. I'll have the bow and the arrow, or make it apparent that I have it up,
right?
But it's not drawn.
Okay.
And I'll wait for him.
Do you want him to see you, or is this kind of like?
No, I'm gonna wait for him to notice me.
Okay, let's make.
So eventually, he's gonna be making his way around the room, and then.
Yeah,
when the torchlight gets on the edge,
it's going to give you a bonus to any future check, as it spooks the shit out of him to see you standing there with these dogs, right? So this is going to surprise him, and it will give you a bonus if we come to any rolls, right? You'll get a bonus as he's surprised. He steps back, and he squints forward, and his torch. Sylvester, is that you? The hounds. You don't know each other very well, but again, your family would be well known. Everybody knows the man with the wolfhounds. So, but you don't really know each other.
Yeah.
But he calls you by name.
So, Martin, what's all this about?
What is it you refer to? Are you talking about Jarek? He's just a friend traveling through. I told him that strangers aren't well received right now. He wanted to stay the night at the inn. I told him there are no rooms at the inn. I sent him packing.
Okay. I will kind of urging the dogs, give them the intention to move forward, not in an aggressive manner, but they are going to act as if I am taking a step forward in as my presence. And
So they're
I'll
smelling
kind
his
of,
crotch, that kind of thing. Like when you
yeah, they're
go to
kind of like
somebody's house and
leaning
the
into
dog smells
him,
your
you
crotch.
know, and I basically ask him again. I say, what is this all about?
All right, so let's make that. You got a bonus already from startling with the dog, so we're gonna +3 to a body check. We're gonna call this intimidation.
Okay. So this is +3. Come
Yes.
on, roll. Are you going to roll for me?
No, you
There
roll.
we-
Oh yeah.
No. So there's multiple hits. We'll take the first roll. So that was plus.
Yeah,
That was with a
you
+3
got
on
it.
top of it.
You got it.
So it would've been an
he kind of steps away from your hounds, lowers his torch. Could you ask your dogs to heal? And he basically tells you that Jarek is here to how can he say it? Stop the pagan. What's the word I'm looking for?
uprising.
No. To stop the
Persecution?
persecution of the pagans.
Okay.
He's here to organize the pagans to protect themselves from these Christian, these hating Christians.
Tell him that's a bad idea.
Right? So Jarek is here to help the pagans.
Or did he bring arms?
Jarek, he has.
As I circle one direction and both the hounds are just
Okay,
kind of like walking around the room, I say,
He kind
You
of
do
backs
know
away
that-
into a table. Again, keeping the torch rather low in case he has
Yeah.
to wave it at your dogs. And he says, "Look, he has great help in doing so."
does this have anything to do with Lord Mort?
Yes, he tells you yes. I didn't expect Brian to nail it like that. It's like, what? Holy shit!
Why wouldn't I ask? There's a wagon just
I
down the
know, I
street
know,
from
yeah.
here.
He says yes. And now, you can put two and two together.
Yeah,
That wagon
I-
would feed a pretty good size
chunk of people.
group of people.
Uh,
Right?
I say, you do understand why I am here, right?
No,
These
I
are
don't.
these are troubled times. They have sent me out here to find out what is going on, and now you are confessing to me that you are in league with our enemies.
But there has to be some leniency toward me for telling you what I know.
That wouldn't be up to me.
Will you not speak up on my behalf?
You have no stable here, right?
Horses, you mean?
Do you? Yeah, you have
No.
no stable here, right?
No.
Martin, I'm a little disappointed.
Sylvester, I am only doing what I believe with my pagan belief in the Celtic origins of what I must do to protect pagans. If Von Mort is the necessary muscle to help, then we do what we must do. You have to understand that. You yourself, are you not? You aren't Christian, are you, Sylvester? Do you not care at all?
Oh, I care, but I still have orders to follow. And I give a whistle for Marcus to step out from up top.
Yeah, Marcus looks a bit shaken by all this. It's like suddenly it hits Marcus that there's a pagan army somewhere around here that might be Van Mort, man. So he has this kind of pale look on his face. Like
I do one of these. I go, Marcus, and I pull back on the bow and I say, take heart.
Yeah.
Don't falter now. There's no army here. He's only a man.
So he comes down the stairs and joins you and the dogs once he is more comfortable.
I turn to Martin and I say, my orders are to bring you back to Dredgewater. You can either come as a friend, and I look at Martin and say that we can keep this conversation between us for now. Right, Martin?
Yes, I beg your leniency. I won't fight you.
I look at Marcus and I
But
say,
I do ask you to look in your heart. Do you think it's right the Christians have turned on the pagans?
I don't think it's right in any time like this that men would keep food from men and women who need it. But I turn to Marcus and look him in the face and say, do you understand what we are doing now?
Marcus, yes, sir. We're taking this man in.
We are, Marcus. But we're taking him in under silence right now. Do you understand what I'm telling you?
Yes, sir.
And I kind
now,
of
if you want to confirm that, we could make a prestige
I want to
check
confirm
sure
that
what I'm
doing is, as I'm talking to him and emphasizing this, I'm kind of doing this with my hand or my elbow and patting the extra potatoes he's got in his pocket right now.
So let's do it. Let's do this with a bonus check because you are reminding him that he's been taken well care of this night. And this will be a average check, 6. You just need a 6, and this is a prestige check to gain Marcus's complete loyalty.
Okay, so this is this rolls +2.
Nice, got it. You sense that he wavers, but the reminding that he's got pockets full of food for his family and his buddies. You know he will not turn on you, right, Brian? You as a player certainly know now that I can't use him against you later. So you've locked Marcus down as somebody who won't rat you out, right? Okay.
All right. With that, I say, Martin, gather your things. I trust that you understand that if you flee in the snow,
right,
that we will be able to find you, but you must come back to the stockade.
Yeah, he's definitely not going to fight you. I mean, he's
okay.
You've got him. You've got 2 wolfhounds he knows he couldn't possibly escape from, right?
Okay.
It's easy to march him back. I want to go to Vidar and conclude this chase, and then I think we can probably conclude this session, gentlemen, and we'll wrap up with our talk about what we've achieved, if that sounds fair. Because we're at 2:11. I don't know how late you guys want to go. It's easy for me. I'm only at 6 o'clock here, so if you guys are okay, we can go longer. But I don't want to keep you guys up late if you're not. I'm having a good time. So, but let's go over to Vidar. Vidar, your men ultimately run this poor wretch down, and they've got him basically pinned against the large tree. And they've surrounded him with the torches, and they're poking at him with their pitchforks and their staves and their hooks and their crooks.
I elbow my way in, kind of huffing and puffing because I'm still injured and whatnot to get him out of the way. Let's see what we got here.
And Brian, Sylvester, really quick, tell me who Rolf is. He's a soldier under your guidance. How old is this kid?
Rolf is 14. He's of age.
Okay.
He is basically, a scout in training. He is, he is within the group or the squad, if you will.
Yep.
That I would normally kind of probably be sent out with. And
is he a brave kid or is he a scared kid?
He's a bit timid. Yeah, he's still a little, especially this time of year. He understands how dangerous it is now, and it's dangerous enough when it is not winter, but even more so now.
Okay, I reach over there and grab his chin and pick him up and get a look at him.
Yeah, he's
bring the torchlight in, and I can. I mean, it's quivering lip. It could be from the cold or from it's just but a boy. What do you hail from, boy? I'm looking him over and backing up and looking at this. He said,
I am of the scout squad. I am a apprentice scout with under Sylvester Doucet.
Yeah. Okay. Right when he says Sylvester,
Doucet.
Right when he says Sylvester, my hand backs up off of his chin or whatever.
Okay.
You know where Sylvester is?
He says, yes.
Why did you run from us, boy?
I left him at Wash because he told me to avoid anyone on his way to get help at Dredgewater. And he's sweat. I mean, this kid is sweating. You've run him. Literally, you've treed this 14-year-old kid, right?
But he says Sylvester now. So
and of course, they're barking, hang him, string him up. He's, maybe
quiet.
Two of them. One
he
or
knows
two of them.
Sylvester.
Yeah.
He knows Sylvester is the one we seek. the one I told you about. You know what I mean? I'm harrying them like,
He's
shut
sweating and he says, I was sent by Sylvester to get horses and men. We have found a large wagon full of food.
Okay, I calmed obviously
Yeah,
they're going to hear this.
once these vigilantes hear this,
That
they start,
swell of-
oh, hey, or, right.
Yeah, get the excitement or whatever. And I'm a little bit excited myself. And I say, calm down. Horses, you say. You headed back to Dredgewater?
Yes, we need to pull the wagon. It is a large wagon. It is full. We need some way to pull the wagon. He looks about. There are enough men here. We could pull the wagon with these men.
Where's this wagon located? I direct him toward kind of push him forward.
It is at the crossroads, Dredgewater Downs.
Okay. Let's see. Lead quickly, boy. Let's see if we can.
Okay.
I stopped myself and as I see he's sweating, and I've been around town a lot, so maybe I recognize the boy. You know what I mean? After he states who it is, and then I grab him by the scruff and then no, do as your master says. Go get the horses that way, and I point him. Hopefully, I know where I'm going. Right? You want me to roll for that?
No, because he was already told by Sylvester that that's his job. He's been given an order. So
yeah, I just don't want him to lose direction.
If you release him to do his duty, he'll go do his duty.
All right. I push him. Right. I push him on, and then we all laugh. And I said, "Let us go help Sylvester." And then we march off in that direction.
So let's narrate this. So ultimately, you arrive about the time that Sylvester with his dogs is bringing Martin out.
Okay, once I recognize the dogs and Sylvester, whatever, I'm waving my arm in a big heart. You know what I mean?
And again, it's probably about 10 o'clock at night at this point, freezing cold. I
we probably have some torches on us. Maybe. I mean, was it late in the evening by the time you said they had torches and pitchforks, right?
Yeah, these vigilantes, they were going out to string people up. They were going out to hunt pagans. They were going out. Yeah. So yes,
that's what I mean. If they got torches, that's what you're going to see us approaching from that direction, Sylvester. So I'll be waving and calling out your name. You probably won't see me waving my arm, but
so I will let you two tell me how you get back to Dredgewater with the goods and what you do to secure the goods. Okay, I'm going to mute and let you guys tell me this story, and then we'll go.
Yeah. Well, when we come up enthusiastically, overjoyed almost, I can't, the men that are there are clamoring forward and wanting to see this. They see the wagon, they see the food. It just starts a cumulative hope in them and rejoicing and renewed strength. And they start getting around in positions around the wagon to start pulling because the boy, said that they could pull the wagon, and they're eagerly saying like that. I'm looking at Sylvester. Shall we help pull the boy? We saw him. He's going to get the horses. He was probably delayed. He ran from us when we tried to find out what he was. So anyway, that's what you'll see. Whether
Brian,
or not
you're muted.
I'm going off like
okay.
Like me already.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've seen you around the town before. As I'm standing next to Vidit and we see these guys all kind of like trying to position themselves on the wagon, I'll, tap the end of my bow on one of their shoulders real quick. And I say, before we do this, I say, fill your pockets now with food.
I turn around and now we were boisterous and the lights are everywhere. Everybody's a little bit loud. So there's almost a carefree, negligent type behavior that I'm demonstrating, but when you say this, I turn around and then almost bark the order to them like a second mouthpiece and just, fill your pockets with food, do as he says. So I'll become
and then once they kind of all gather that stuff together, I'm going to turn to Martin and tell him that, when we return to Dredgewater, that there is a man that I'll want you to speak with. He's a man of the cloth, but he is not as heavy-handed as our priests have been within Dredgewater with the relationship that's been going on with the pagans. And I look at Vidit and say that once your men, all these men have gathered food, you need to put the hay back. You need to make it look as if the wagon was untouched as much as possible, so that when the horses and everyone arrive and this all goes back, I point over at the body laying in the snow and I'll take him over to it. I'll pull out my side sword and give the body a thrust, since he is already dead, and say that, this is the man that I had killed, who was in possession of the wagon at the time. His cohort had ran off with the horses, and I could not stop them. Marcus and I took shelter in Washburn Arms. We saw a group coming the opposite direction from where you came from, but they split up. So the pagans have dispersed into the woods. It's what we need to tell John back at the barracks. Okay? But everybody here needs to take some kind of share to share out in the village. And then the rest of it, we're going to have to take back along with Martin. And I look at Martin and I say, is this fair enough to you?
I am under your leniency. I'm in no condition to argue with you.
I put my hand on Martin's shoulder and I say, leniency, we're coming back as friends, right, Martin? We are friends, right?
With this, he smiles, kind of looks at you quizzically, like, really? Yes, indeed. We have captured this wagon from von Mortzman.
Okay.
Now, do
That's
you
my
want
story.
to take the wagon back to
Yes, that's
Washburn,
the goal.
or do you want to take the wagon back to Dredgewater?
I want to take the wagon back to Dredgewater.
Okay.
That's why I sent Rolf off for the horses.
Gotcha.
When the men and the horses come back, we all get them in harness and go back to back to Dredgewater. But I definitely want to take Martin to see Brother Aelwald.
Okay. So go ahead, Dale.
Go ahead.
I would like to say that everything that you said so far has been like a confirmation, almost, like a parting of the heavens, that I have found my new calling, because everything you're saying about hunting the pagans, and I know that I can depend on you as a man to hunt down these pagans where Washburn's just been held up in his keep. You know what I mean? So I'm looking at you as like some kind of a rebel leader to take the actual man to take this over and lead us towards. So that's what's going on in my mind as I see this. And then at some point, whenever it becomes appropriate, I might saddle up next to you as we're walking back, and I pledge my allegiance to you.
Oh, that's a repute, Sylvester. Sylvester just scored a repute.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, you've convinced these folks, and you've convinced Vidar that you are a man worth following. That's a repute point.
Yeah, I mean, I let you know that I've lost everything and almost lost my faith, and then, but you've helped me find it as well as find, the reason that I am here, a new reason for my existence.
You may be an old soldier, but you're still a soldier to me.
I clasped you around the back, cap you on the back a couple of times, and you can tell I'm bolstered by it.
Yeah.
And I swing my axe up off the floor where I've been dragging it and put it on my shoulder, and I start, walking a little bit.
Martin kind of whispers under his breath, following you guys as you're all working the wagons, horses, everybody's headed back. It's about midnight. You're all headed back to Dredgewater. Martin whispers to all of this, the Brotherhood of Pagans. Ironic.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, you're all pagans.
I just keep walking.
Isn't it ironic? The pagans come together, right? So let's, this is the Chronicle.
Unite the clans.
Right? So this is the Chronicle, which means we won't pick up from this session. We'll advance time. So you guys will all get a repute for achieving multiple tasks in this session, right? So unfortunately, Dale, you didn't score a separate repute, but that's okay. Right?
Now, from what I started out, I didn't know where I was going to, end up. And right now, for him to be on a trajectory where he knows what he's going to do, that was the best I could hope for that character.
So you guys actually dealt with a couple of issues. Number one, clearly you've dealt with some of the starvation of the famine, or the wagon. So I rolled abandoned wagon. That was one of the seeds. I just made it full of food.
Nice.
Right? So what you did with the food would decide the fate of many people. Of course, you killed the wolves, which became food. You obviously have dealt with a pagan, and there's been a pretty amazing miracle that would convince many people to come to God, right, Ethelwald? We would, of course, have to tell the tale in fiction of how you dealt with Jarek the Druid and Mort's mercenaries. But we could assume you go back and tell Washburn and his men prepare to hunt Jarek. But that would all be...
I'm not going to mention the Druid.
Okay, right. Okay,
I'm only going to talk about this as if Mort is behind this.
Gotcha.
That it was his men.
So you blame Mort, right?
I throw the blame on Mort.
Yeah, gotcha. So ultimately, you guys achieved. Let me go ahead and just pull it up for any viewers to see what. So again, we outlined in our inciting incident that we needed to deal with pagans, poachers. We needed to deal with von Mort's men. We needed to ultimately get food for the starving, etc. And then, of course, I had the major dilemma was famine. This was the most important piece of the whole thing. Famine. People are starving and they're growing very desperate. I think we outlined that. I think I projected that. And I think you guys have dealt with that. Minor dilemma is tension between Christians and pagans is at a break point. I think I put that right in front of you as well. I think we saw some of that break point. And then I think I can't say that you've rectified it, because Brother Aelvold has pulled a miracle that's going to convince many Christians we're on the right track, and many pagans witnessed it. But then we've got the Brotherhood of Pagans that have now decided that Sylvester's a man worth following. So I wouldn't give you a repute for rectifying the pagan Christian problem, but you get a repute for dealing with the famine issue, right? Does that sound fair?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys want to put those repute points? Tell me narratively what that repute point's worth. Now, I know Sam already put one on spirit because he's more connected to God, right?
Yeah, I put my other one in prestige, I think, because of the fact that the miracle would have been visible enough that I think it would have...
Well, they're going to be talking about it.
Yeah.
These peasants the next day are going to talk about how they were fed. And
yeah.
Fed
from one loaf of bread
at night in the freezing cold in the middle of shithole Dredgewater, right? Yeah.
St. Ethelwald.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
That's right. You're going to be... When you get to, if you ever get to repute 10, you may be saint. That's right. That's the truth.
Yeah.
Canonized.
Yeah. That'll be so interesting to see how when Vidar and Aethelwald meet again.
Right.
Because I figure like the trajectory would be that we would all sort of head out to the pagan camp together, right? And I don't know, maybe they're like, yeah, we're gonna ambush the Christian soldiers on the way, and then but then everybody's like, oh, but did you hear about the miracle? And then I start talking about like the parable of the lost sheep, and it's like, well, yeah, we'll abandon 99 sheep to save that one lost soul. And then Vader's like, well, shit. I'm like, now what do I do?
That's awesome. Well,
what are you doing to me?
Right.
That's kind of part of my intention is to get Aethwald in communication with Martin. Martin then hopefully if we can convince him to introduce you to the Druid, since you seem to be a little more light-handed,
right?
You're a much more friendly face.
Right? Yeah.
You're more sympathetic with what's going on. And to me, it doesn't matter, Christian, pagan, we are all starving. We can't let this come between us, even though technically I probably fall more in the pagan camp. But
once we're all fed and happy, then we can start killing each other.
Then we can start killing each other. Yeah.
Right.
Wait till summertime.
Well, and that's part of our goal of the Dark Age of Man. Give players a character. Let them actually inhabit a character in a world that can support multiple options, multiple characters, multiple angles. But what brings together the pagan and the Christian is a greater threat. Well, we didn't see the greater threat. Well, famine in a way is a greater threat, right?
Yeah.
But that's kind of our goal. Can the pacifist priest play this game? Can they be in this world? Right now, granted, the wolves. Thank God you had some help, because the wolves probably would have ended this.
Oh, they would have killed me. Yeah, I would have been
I
dead
rolled
first
wolf
session.
Well, 15 wolf pack,
Yeah.
and I went, oh shit! And the only guy really in the woods that I could use this with was you and Henry coming to.
Right.
And then the second roll was, let's see where my rolls are at. And then I rolled a wagon, abandoned wagon. It took me a long time to get the wagon because you guys were doing other stuff. So I was like, man, I'm holding on to this wagon forever. And then I rolled pagans, thinking, okay, maybe pagans might come in. So then I had basically John tell you about the pagans to send you to arms, right? And then I said, hey, wait, here's where I can drop the wagon on you because you're traveling on the road. So I kind of put those two together. And then
that's
I rolled
the good thing about
vigilantes. I rolled right before Dell said, I'm going over to Black Leaf Inn. And I'm like, shit, they're hanging out, getting ready to go kick some butt, right? So it worked out.
That was cool.
My goal is to use every one I roll, but I'm not going to wreck. I mean, if you guys have got some amazing thing going, I'm not going to just throw stuff in there to, it just depends. But I managed to get them all into play.
And if you're, when you're building those RSCs, when you're thinking about it, if you're not just
random, if they're not just random garbage.
Well, if you kind of even give yourself a little bit of logic to it, I need a location, I need an actor here, something that can be engaged with, or I need an event here, then it gives you a decent mix. So if you roll all over the place, you have a couple of things that you can kind of fork off to.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And some of them are just part of the world. I had some really good ones for this one, guys. I had
don't spoil it. Don't spoil it.
Yeah, right. I could use them later. You're right.
Yeah, I could use them later.
Yeah, I could use them later. Right. I've got some good ones. I'm like, I told my wife this afternoon, boy, there's some ones I hope I hit because this could be fascinating. But again, I'm naive. I don't even know how those would come up in play. So I could have rolled them and went, how do I get this in play anyway? So it's great fun for me because I'm juggling this, going, how do I make all this fold in? Now, how did you guys feel about being so contained? I mean, you guys are really not working together. Does that mess up your flow, waiting to role play because you're kind of isolated?
To me, no. I mean, I think it's often, for me, I don't have a hard time narrating, when they say, okay, when you're saying, let's go to Sylvester, I can pick it up. Yeah. And then I also know that I need to be conscious enough as a player. Hey, I need to narrate myself out. Right. Because there's two other people here waiting to kind of try and, get in however much time we have. Yeah. I also like enjoying the chance to just kind of sit back. Yeah. And watch what someone else is going to do and think about how that's going to get worked into the story.
And in character role play, that's one of the things I miss about most tables. I don't get to be a character, and then I don't get to sit back and learn about everybody else's character. So I kind of dig it because I get to watch Sam. If I'm a character in Sam's party, I get to watch Sam develop this character, right? There's a chance. Adele, I think, was the one that got the least amount of play tonight, but it just was his wound really messed us up because by rules, he needs to have rest and time. So, getting him right back into play, I'm afraid if things had gone a certain way, Dell's character could have been killed in the first fight with the wolves if you hadn't come to the rescue, right?
Yeah, but see the point back, like you're talking about when everybody takes their turn. From my position, I started out losing everything, and like I said, losing my faith. So even when I got up with Sylvester, and he had taken and his story about killing the pagan, and it led into what Falcone said. I even, you know what I mean? It's for the belief, because to me, I came to this land, I converted, even though it was like adding another god to the thing, right? When I'm on land, I represent this. And then I was severely want to have a face-to-face with the priest that I thought was Falcone, that was Sam's character. Right. So I'm coming up to him, stalking because I just lost everything. And then I'm so battered that I fall right in front of him. You know what I mean? And then we have this forgiveness thing. So it kind of reels me back and realize. And then when I go with Falcone, so I watch. I'm looking for direction. That's when I have the Sylvester moment. So I mean, whether or not I'm playing actively, I'm still playing in my mind to say, how am I supposed to, as a character, relate to these guys? And I'm not trying to do it on purpose, but it makes sense inside of the narrative that would lead me from one to the other. So that, from sitting back, you can gain a lot of understanding
Yeah.
from your position in the world. Because right now I'm with him, like you're talking about a pagan army. Well, I'm
Yeah.
still a Christian because he's going after the pagans.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, so
Right.
you've got a man in your mix that isn't like that, but I see more even-handed.
Right.
You know, which
Well, the irony is,
he's fair.
the world can be black and white. Lord Washburn wants this dealt with. These are evil. Meanwhile, to a character, it's not so black and white when you're in this world with pagans and Christians, which is kind of cool. It's not that black and white. Now you could be a
I love
zealot
the
and play
scene
it that way. Yeah.
with Sylvester and Martin.
Yeah.
You know, like what are you going to do? Are you going to, you got your allegiance to this town and Washburn, and you also have your, you're a pagan too. So what are you going to do?
And it's great fun for me because I get to play, basically Sam defined Falcone, and then I get to play this kind of jacked up priest, right?
Yeah.
How about you, Sam?
Well, so this system is really cool for me from both sides of the table, right? I love the idea that as a GM, you can just kind of roll and allow the fiction to kind of dictate where the story goes and how you can make, how you can put those moments in. And then I think as a player, really with any system, if you have a group with you that are good role players that work with each other instead of against each other, or they work against each other, but that it makes sense within the fiction of the thing, that's always great. And you can do that with any system, but I feel like this one gives you so much freedom to really kind of work together to tell the story in a way that I think certain other systems try to do mechanically, which can sometimes get in the way, where I think this one allows it to organically progress. So I had a great time, and I think
do you feel the
believe me,
setup and the inciting incident helps inform you before launch? Because that's the goal. Is you come informed as to something that makes the world real, right?
It's hard. I know it's hard for me to kind of get into the head of my character if I don't sort of have an idea of where they're based and where they're grounded on session one. Because what ends up happening in that case is I tend to really just roll with the other characters and kind of latch onto a specific character to form a connection. But I think in this case, because we already sort of had these roles that we were that were defined within the fiction of the game and the world and all that, it was nice to be able to say, okay, this is what I do, but now I get to react with that mindset to what everyone else does.
I mean, you were able to create a character coming from London, informed by what little setup I gave you, which is the pagan Christian problem, right? So then you come to the session knowing your role that you've formulated, but you don't know how you're gonna how that's gonna go, right? So you're naive. Players are always naive, right? It's all of us living are naive, right? We don't know what's gonna happen. So that's part of my goal, is to I want players to be relaxed and really comfortable with the idea they're free to have some agency, but I also want players to be a little uncomfortable, with that a little bit, right? Create a little discomfort. So I was pretty bit of responsibility I want the players to take versus being
pretty
told
uncomfortable,
everything, right? But you don't want them so uncomfortable they're paralyzed.
Uncomfortable with what though, Sam? I mean, granted, this is the first time I've had a chance to play with you, but I know you from going back to RPG Brigade days. I know you from Chalice and Chains.
I was uncomfortable for my character because I thought they were going to die. No, but I really appreciate, obviously, I was very happy when Dell reached out and was like, hey, Jason's running this. Cause I've played with Jason. I know what he's about. I love it. And I've gotten to play with Dell before, which is great. But the games that I value the most are games like this, where it's people who take it seriously, but aren't too serious. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
we take our role playing serious, but we don't. But we're not uptight about it.
Exactly. And who can trust the other players enough to be like, okay, I'm going to roll with this, and go with it, because it creates a beautiful story. I think that.
Well,
you
I
know,
had no
it's a lot
idea.
of
I
fun.
didn't know if you would place your character literally already at the feet of Lady Esmeralda. I didn't know if you would say I'm already at the manse. I'm talking to Lady Esmeralda.
Yeah.
Because you could have literally put yourself right there. You know, that's
Yeah,
what's so
well, I
fun
thought
about it.
about
I don't
it.
know what you're gonna do,
Yeah.
and you're free to kind of say, where do I conceive my character starting this
Yeah.
session,
Right.
right?
Well, and it's nice too, because again, you know, there's a lot of the time game sessions happen where the GM says, you are here.
Right.
This is what's happening.
Yeah.
React to it.
Yeah.
And that's okay. You know, but it's a lot of fun.
Like I'll do that with Dark Age
Yeah.
of Man. The
Yeah.
next Chronicle might be set up that this is going to be an in media res. Like my Guilford,
Yeah.
my Guilford game was in media res, right?
Right.
The one that you
Yeah.
can download.
Mhm.
And Brian threw me a curveball. I never in a million years thought he would be a Blackleaf Inn. It was I literally thought, dude, he's he's got these hounds. He's going to be out hunting. I figured he would tell me some tell that he's been out hunting some beast or who the hell knows, you know? And he says, I'm at the Blackleaf Inn having breakfast. I'm like, holy shit, I didn't see that
Yeah.
come.
Nice.
And
yeah, that was good.
That puts me in a position to go, how am I going to engage Brian, right? It's fun, but it's unnerving. But once we break the ice, you're like, dude, this is amazing. Yeah.
You've got to, I mean, in a game, kind of the way this is set up, you've got to, as a player, you have to be willing to throw out a hook.
Yeah.
Back to the GM. You have to say, okay, I know I'm occupied in the military. I'm part of Washburn's group, but when I'm not on duty, where am I at?
Yeah.
Right. And as someone who's supposed to be gathering information, where else is there best to go?
Right.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
And
I love it. Yeah.
Kind of like in the same situation, like even going with the little bit of background that I did have for the character, it was nothing more that my family's been here for a while.
Right.
You know, and so of course I'm going to know or have seen Dell's character around recently, and heard about what's happened with Washburn being saved and all that stuff, and then recognizing a stranger. It's the first time I've seen this guy. He's obviously not a hiker. He's out here in his freaking robes.
With Henry, who's urinated all over.
Yeah, with Henry with pants.
Poor Henry.
Poor Henry. I thought for sure Rolf was going to get torn apart, by the mob. I was just going to laugh about that one. But
when he said
that would have been great too. That would have been a great point of conflict between Sylvester and Vidit. That would have been great. What did you do to my apprentice?
And there were some amazing moments, dude. Ethelwell, that's repute. I mean, when you use spirit to create, in a way, this infinite. Now, granted, he had to make the roll, right? We don't just let you write it. You got to make the roll. You got to convince God to provide a miracle.
Oh,
And then when
so
Dell,
cool when
Dell says, "I revere," I'm like, "Oh well, shit, that's a repute," because that's another player ultimately recognizing the repute of. I mean, it was pretty cool, right? So
and there's this handshake too, like in a scene like that where he's obviously Sam was obviously narrating into the situation.
Yep.
So he is pushing the fiction. He's really going for something.
I love it.
And then for the person on the other side of the screen, as the presenter, to say, you know what? Hey, because of your character's focus and enthusiasm and the sacrifice he's making, you hit him up with the bonus on the roll. There's a lot of fruitful void there that you're not like tied in, like you've got to do something specific. Yeah. Right.
And we're not doing any writer's room gaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a character in this world. And you are now. Granted, you can invent something. You can say, who's Rory and Marcus? I'm going to grab these guys. And I was telling my wife the other day that my goal as a presenter in this is give me an NPC. Give me something so we can now start. In a way, an NPC is like it's like it's that what am I trying to say? The catalyst. It's the switch that flips it on, right? So you're like, okay, I hope these guys do. Right.
Yeah, well, it's also one of the emotional hooks a lot of the time that you can use to pull the players, because it's like, that's my NPC, and even though I created him 5 minutes ago,
we kind of forgot Henry. It's like, but you were, you wouldn't have drugged this kid up to the Washburns, and so I can imagine he was hanging out with Falcone, probably getting corrupted by Falcone, right?
I was so proud of him for getting like I thought he was going to be too scared to do it, and then he comes back with our rescuers, and I'm like. Oh,
but I think you actually made that roll, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So
but,
we knew you were.
yeah.
Now, the thing was, what was going to happen timing wise? Could the kid get back in time? Well, he got back in time to help get Viter back, but because you actually had to make a roll like Rolf
Mhm.
to confirm he will do what he's told if something doesn't deter him, like a vigilante, like a mob chasing him.
I was worried he was going to get killed on the way up, but I do want to say I really loved that scene with Del where he was like, like I'm going to join you, like we got this brotherhood or whatever, because it was cool because he was really sort of, you were like hinting at that confusion over faith and the sort of the devastation that came with it, and then so it's like kind of going back and forth, and he's like, okay, now I'm going to latch onto this thing because right now this seems like this is what I can put my faith in, and
I got the sense from that Vidor was basically, this is a man who's lost hope, lost his family, and he's now bonded himself to what he thinks is Sylvester, right? There's this moment where Viter in a way is finding hope through Sylvester.
Yeah,
it's amazing. And
if Sylvester turns out not to be what he's hoping, that's going to be a cool moment.
And you've got a combination with that. I mean, you just think of what if we talk about the possibilities of what can happen, right? So imagine where I'm having that conversation in the Washburn Arms with Martin.
Right.
And here I've got Marcus upstairs listening to us have a conversation where I'm not necessarily, joining in with what he's doing.
Right.
But it might seem that way to Marcus if I can't convince him. And if I can't get him on my side, now I could possibly be on the hook.
Right.
With that. So, I mean, you've also sometimes got to be willing to open yourself up to that chance as the player to say, here is a negative hook. If I don't do this successfully, I know it could come back to haunt me, and I'm willing to accept that.
That's right. Well, that's the mechanics, right? That's the system supporting. You don't get just to make it up and everything goes your way.
Right.
There is this risk reward in now, but unfortunately, you recognize you better address Marcus because I was thinking Marcus is upstairs listening to this, right? So it was amazing that you actually recognized you didn't forget Marcus, because had you forgot Marcus, that's in my pocket, man. That's right.
Just like closing the front door.
Right. Exactly. Right.
If I hadn't remembered to close the front door,
it's not an adversarial relationship. It is the world we're in, right? Inhabiting the world, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so anyway, what else was there? Was one other thing I was going to say. Shoot. Oh well, I forgot.
So while you're thinking about it,
go ahead.
I was going to say I love that moment whenever Sam was about his flashback when he was a kid. He recognized that's why when you're playing with other people and they recognize, like when I'm sitting back watching y'all play, I'm picking up little key things. At the moment that I didn't respond to Sylvester because I was despondent. You know what I mean? I heard what he said, but it was like in my peripheral. So I pulled it out later, and I'm putting two and two together. Like, oh, wait a minute, the tenor said this, and it makes sense inside of the fiction of what I'm being fed. And so it's leading my character's journey. And all this first episode is an origin story to how we get together in the first place. So it allowed us to do that creatively. And like Brian said, with the handshake, this is what we're doing off of each other. And it'll be, and I love, like, my uncomfortable moment was probably when Brian was with Martin talking about it. I was like, oh, I would hate to be in that shoe. So what are you going to do? You know what I mean? What are you going to do? So I watched him do that, and I get, geez, Louise. So it's fun sitting there, and then you pull off of each other and you work together to create this true, genuine, authentic fiction. The story. Like, so nobody's going to sabotage that when you're just playing off each other. You say that was a beautiful story at the end of it. It's what happens after the fact. We're not doing it just for the sake of, this would seem cool. We're literally live in the moment, playing off of each other in the situation that presented itself.
Well, and it's authentic because you're motivated as characters, and then what's happening is a genuine conflict that you then are responding to as characters, which is evolving. My favorite moment was again because Sam queued me up a pretty cool Falcone, giving Viter the guilt, right?
That was so good.
Your wife and child are dead, man, because you haven't given yourself completely to God. It was so fun. I don't know if I would have gone that way with Falcone if you hadn't given me that Falcone.
Yeah, well, and it was hard because it's like I sort of wanted that tension there because because a lot of the historical stuff that I've seen and read, there are a lot of those fire and brimstone guys back then. And so the idea of like the pacifist, like that was unfortunately a little rare. And so I was like, oh, let's have this tension. But yeah, that was cool that you rolled with that. And I was so excited when Del described a Viking as his character. Yeah. Exactly.
When I talk about being naive,
yeah,
don't know who Falcone is.
Yeah.
Draw some of that from the players, right? Because if I go into this saying I know who Falcone is, I know what I'm going to do with Falcone. I'm not getting to play. I'm not getting to be part of that. So it's also fun for me because I don't know what you would have given me for Falcone, right? So
and that could be hard too if you sort of have a predefined notion, because then you have to play that character a certain way, even if you're like, oh man, it would make so much more sense to kind of do this. It's hard to sometimes to roll with that. So yeah, that is neat.
And if I had made Falcone like your character, one of us is redundant.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Well,
Then it becomes like, what do we need Falcone for? We got that guy. Or wait, we don't need you. I got Falcone, right? But I get to be that player because it's fed to me without writer room gaming. Right.
Yeah, we're all feeding into this.
And why
we're
is
all
this
feeding the story?
That's right. And why is this legit? And I told this to Del in many of our conversations over the last couple of years. What you envision, I'm thinking about this. There's a great book, psychological book. I can't remember the name of the author now. And he talks about your movie versus everyone else's movie. So you live your life in your movie, and your wife lives her life in her movie, and you may be but why fights occur is they view the world through their movie, and you view the world through yours. So part of this concept psychologically for me is to say, wait a minute, how does Sam's character perceive Falcone? If Sam's character perceives him a particular way and I let Sam define this guy, I sat down and broke bread with this guy and this is what I get from him. Why isn't that real? Why isn't that as real as my version of Falcone? Yeah. That's where I can say this isn't making it up. This isn't writer room gaming. This is saying your version of what's in your head about Falcone is as valid as anything I'm going to present to you. And that's where we can get away with this idea of being a naive GM, a naive presenter. But you got to give up some control. You got to be willing. Yeah. You got to be willing to be thrown a curveball. Players are thrown curveballs all the time by GMs. Of course, GMs are thrown curveballs by the guy who wants to go right when everybody's trying to go left. But I'm talking about in a situation where you don't know the answer, and it's something that I want all you guys to get as a presenter too. I want you to GM a game for us. That'd be great. Brian did a brilliant job with one of our early versions. The Hobbs game was amazing.
Yeah, the Hobbs.
I just think GMs are going to get a kick out of this too, right? If they allow themselves to kind of have it come to them naturally.
Yeah, it can be an uncomfortable feeling because there's just so much uncertainty about what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And as far as like a lot of what I saw tonight was a lot of just great for a first session, just a lot of great characterization to help establish where to go from here.
Yeah.
We weren't like, okay, let's run and just get as much done as we can. Let's get the adventure, quote unquote, completed. We have some goals and moving forward. Yeah, we did accomplish some of those goals tonight, but I'm sure there might be something that Del has in mind that he's going to want to try and get in or accomplish. And same thing with you, Sam. You've probably I know I want to try and get Martin and you together. That's part of one of my goals for the next session. It gives us a lot to build on.
Yeah. Well, and I'll say, thinking about it from like the GM perspective, I think that, this is the type of session or the type of system where I would really only want to run this with players that I really know and that I trust, because, and if you're a player, you need that same thing from the GM. Yeah. So I could see how it could be tough for like a one shot, for example, or tough for a group that doesn't really know each other. And also I think, kind of like to bring in the immortal words of the wise master Yoda, you know, a lot of the time you have to unlearn what you've learned, right? That's sort of the way that, like, you know,
Habits.
kind of D&D trains you to GM.
Yep.
Is, I don't know if I want to say it's antithetical to this, but it's hard because that's very structured.
Yep.
And this isn't, but it follows within a framework. And so it's really neat to see how you can let that organically grow throughout the session.
Right.
Without having
everybody has to buy into the realities of the
Yeah.
world, and Dredgeland and Ungland, and they have to buy into the realities of,
Mhm.
but then they have to feel like they can drop to their knees as a priest and attempt a miracle or attempt a magic or and at the same time you've got to have, and I've said this before, my favorite groups are playing with other GMs. I don't care what we play. You give me a group of GMs, dude, we're going to have a freaking blast, because GMs seem to get all of this. They seem to, they know what it's like to be. So by far the best tables are guys that GM, I think. And I hate to say that, but I think the best players are also GMs. Right? So shame on me, you know, players will hate me for that. But because GMs don't look at the game as how I'm going to level up and I'm going to win and I'm going to get my character here and I'm going to go do this and I'm going to live this fantasy heroic adventure. Yeah. GMs have to take in the broader, bigger picture. So what happens when you ask GMs to be players? They're thinking big picture, right? Right. I just think, and it lowers this competitive kind of, and I think it allows for this stuff. I just appreciate GMs as players, right? Yeah. And that's not to say I haven't played with great players that's all they do is play, but I do think GMs are the way this game would suit a group of veterans very well.
Yes. Yeah. 100%.
Because it isn't cops and robbers. It doesn't come down to this, I'm going to make it up and you're not going to challenge it, or I'm just going to let you, I'm going to hand wave every challenge. No, there's risk reward. Yeah. And when there's that moment of truth in which Brian he finally reaches that moment where we've got to prove this. We've got to make sure that Rolf listens to you. You can't just have it. Rolf, go do this, right? It's there's going to be those moments of truth, and I think that's the key mechanic. Right? Yeah. But it went fantastic. You know, this was our first official public game. Yeah, it was fan. But you know, we haven't had a bad game. None of us have had a bad game together.
Yeah. No, we haven't.
Thank God, right? It's awesome. So the next one, we'll probably fast forward time, and I'll set up. I'll have it set up. But again, I'm thinking once a month, guys. That way, there's no reason we can't all make this schedule work. And I'm pretty much wide open, so it's easy for me right now in where I'm at in my life. But that's why I said it's crazy to think we're going to stretch this into 4 months. But it's I don't care about that. I only care about making sure it's easy for us all to get our schedule on the same page. And
sure.
So, absolutely.
And like I mentioned, we can even rotate. I mean, if you guys had rather, that's Chronicle One, and then if you want to rotate GMs, we can try that. You know, we don't have to. It's up to you how in love you are with the characters and where we're going. I can keep GMing this. We could also rotate. We got 4. There's 4 of us, right? And I could just inherit whoever GM's next. I inherit their character, and we just pass that character too.
I would rather stick with my own character.
Yeah.
If we rotate, I mean, I understand the concept, like what Anthony and those guys did with the rotating GM and characters for the
Circle Knight, I think.
Circle of Hands.
Yeah.
When they did that one. But because I kind of miss what was his name?
Lord Aermir.
Lord Aelmir.
I told Del that was the first time I knew Dark Age of Man was special, because you created a young lord, and you placed this guy in the world that had responsibility, a manse, lands, and I said that proves that when players get it, it's amazing. Yeah, it's gonna be. That was when I said, okay, this will work. This is absolutely different than D&D. You're not just making a fighter level 1 and going, okay, let's go kill something. And, you know.
It's such a, I mean, playing wise, it's something you have to, like Sam said, we've been so trained to think about playing these games in certain ways. Yeah. You have to detangle a lot of things and say, well, because a lot of people will tell you, especially when you watch a lot of D&D videos, you never want to have somebody play a noble. You never want to have somebody who's got seniority or prestige or something over someone else, because you could open yourself up to bad players or a bad experience. But you know, if you've got people who keep it in context and are willing to shake hands with each other and go along with the fiction, you can make it work pretty easily.
Right.
And I think that session worked out pretty well too, because there were only very few opportunities for me to even throw my weight around with Dell's character and I can't remember the other gentleman's character.
Yeah, the blacksmith. Eric was the blacksmith. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it was like, especially when the Vikings came and attacked, it was, trying to save Eric's bacon is what it was.
It was badass.
So
yeah. No, it's and it does create these moments that I think are genuine, authentic. There's not a contrivance. Right. It can't be contrived because I'm rolling a RSC and trying to here's a wagon.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, what do I do with that?
Yeah, what do I do with the wagon? Now I can make the wagon, just an empty wagon, no big deal.
Sure.
But boy, I can make it a crappy old wagon that broke. But I thought, hey, what is all this food doing here? And then I'm thinking, what is all this food doing?
Yeah.
And then I just define Martin coming back, and I'm like, wait a second, it's a wagon to feed this army of pagans,
Right.
And
I revealed my D&D brain in the chat when I was like, nope, there's a zombie in there, and you can't do it. I was half joking, but I was like, but that's what happens in a game like that, where it's like,
not everything has to be negative, right? Not everything on the RSC has to be.
I don't trust you, DM. You're gonna screw with me, but you're right, because with the random rolls, like now you are like, okay, wow, here's this thing. I got to figure out what to do with this. Yeah, but no worries. I got my players to help me do that.
Right. Like, and I don't know. And here's the other reason I'm not afraid to say, oh, it's a wagon full of food, because Brian is still going to dictate whether this is a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Brian, what is Brian going to do with a wagon full of food, right? We don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't know. And he doesn't know. Yeah. But his character is going to assess the situation. Say, I'm going to do this thing with it.
Yeah.
We don't know if it leads to
the darn
where
pagans
you're all being hunted down because you stole a wagon full of food from the Lord, right? So you never know.
When he told me to take the men, tell the men to and I was like, oh yes, he's doing this renegade army, you know what I mean? And then we'll go feed that, but we're storing up supplies for ourselves to go do this.
Right.
So that fed me, my character, into realization to follow him more so.
Right.
Well, and I thought it was interesting, sort of like what you were saying, Jason, about everybody being a GM. Like as soon as Brian was like, yeah, we're going to bring it back to the town, I was like, ooh, because I was like, either that's really good because he's going to look good, but then what does that make the Lord look like? Right. And that like, well, where was this wagon? Why didn't, but then it's like, well, but he's kind of the Lord's guy. So then there's this political playoff between, well, oh yeah, I sent my guy out. Look what we did. Exactly. We found this food, and they were like, "No, that priest fed us. You were just going to put that in the."
I was going to say
in the castle.
Then he just wheels it behind the keep walls and keeps the wagon for himself.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, but that's the point.
Like, I can feed my soldiers.
You are characters alive in a world, and you have agency. Let's steal this wagon. Let's unload it. Let's put it in the basement of. You don't know. Yeah. Players would say, let's get this stuff stored in the basement and we'll sell it.
Right.
We'll start selling. You don't know.
Yeah. You turn that abandoned inn into a general store or into a grocery store, right? And you have the peasants all coming in and they're like,
whispering
sure, okay, you don't have coin.
Come get free food,
See, that's what I was thinking about too with Blackleaf. Yeah. Right. Is if I make this commitment to him, is it gonna get noticed? Can we keep something like this quiet? Because if poaching is illegal, what happens when Washburn finds out that one of Washburn's own men is going out there and doing this?
Yeah. Well, and that's what I was I was waiting to see where you were gonna go when he said please do that, because I don't want to hire guards to fight off these poor people. I'd rather feed them. And I didn't know where it was gonna go, but then I had rolled Wolfpack. And I said, well, the only place to present Wolfpack is him coming into Dredgewater. And that, in a way, remedied your poaching problem.
Yeah.
I thought that was
for
a little
accident, right?
For a little while.
Yeah, right.
I thought that was cool, too, because, like, the other thing, I conceptualized it as these peasants came out to deal with the wolves, not the Lord's men, not the Lord's soldiers, right? And so, for me, even though it was because they were desperate and they were hungry, they mobilized when the people that should have didn't. And so, I was thinking about that as like, oh, man.
Well, it was so early in the morning, And I thought, well, there would be peasants headed up to Dredgetown to try to get into Dredgetown, right? They want to get in there and maybe get some more grain. And meanwhile, the wolves became the necessary evil, or the necessary thing that here's our chance, right?
Yeah.
And it only makes sense. Again, I'm also trying to, you're trying to characterize players. I'm trying to characterize a world.
Yeah.
And to do that, I have to remind you that the pagans are being threatened by the Christians, and they're all starving. And what does that look like? And this wolf's got to be starving, right? And
Otherwise, why are they getting that close to a town?
So I'm trying to characterize an entire population. At the same time, you're trying to characterize players. And how do I do that? I got to show that these guys are willing to jump. They're willing to go fight wolves and risk their lives because they're starving, right? So it's just how we choose to use these variables too, right?
Yeah.
So I made the peasants up there as just a sign that there was a mass moving toward Dredgetown. Just to ultimately, and then the role of the wolves was like, okay, well, I guess I can turn these peasants toward the wolves. Wait, it's a chance for me to characterize the peasants as really desperate people. Right.
Yeah, that was a cool moment.
So,
and see, now you can have Dredgewater as a pilgrimage site.
Yeah.
So
right. That's right.
It's
it'll be fascinating. And I don't know how much we'll fast forward time.
Yeah.
But certainly think about this, depending on the amount of time that we'll start that session with, tell me what you've been doing for this last 3 months or this last 6 months. So there'll be a little bit of that.
Don't go too far.
Oh no, I don't want to go
too far ahead.
I don't want to.
Yeah, he still wants Martin to meet.
Well, especially in Dark Ages, where if you're 30, you're old, right? We don't want to go too far because
I'll be dead.
People didn't live.
Die of old age.
We'll have to play our kids.
You die of famine.
Except I won't have any kids.
Yeah, we die of famine.
Yeah.
Right. You'll be playing.
I'll be playing
Ethelwald, the bald old guy hanging around in the right.
Yeah. Or
fantastic.
Henry or whatever.
Well, gentlemen, I knew it would be amazing, but that was fantastic. It's so fun. Thank you.
It's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, thank you all.
I also want to.
It's great to get a chance to play with you, Sam.
Yeah, you too.
And I just want to thank you guys for giving our game a little opportunity, right? Giving it a chance. Yeah.
This was tremendous. So thank you.
Yep. And really, this is like a staff game because we're the writers and creators, and Brian is our editor and our book designer. Yeah. So this is kind of like a staff game.
Yeah. But hey, it works.
Brian kind of has to like it right now, right?
I absolutely hate it.
And when it's over, he can say,
"Yeah, it's like this game."
You
is
and your hanging antecedents.
Yes,
extreme use of passive voice. Oh my god.
Yes.
Nice.
Hey, I never said I was. I'm a creator, not a writer, right? That's the problem.
It's generally how it works.
I mean, what happens when you're creative and you're not the writer, right? You gotta
talk to Anthony Talk to Anthony about the first time I sent him one of my copies. Trust me. Oh my god. Feel bad for that poor
that's
man.
the hard part. Is like, okay, how do I take this creation and actually make it palatable for the rest of the world? And,
right.
It's tough.
So you hope we do it. We hope we do it all right, right? So anyway, awesome. Thank God for YouTube, because people can use these videos to say, okay, I don't know what the hell he's saying in the book, but let's go see how they're doing this thing, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's like watching 2D20 Conan and 2D20 Star Trek games. It's like, okay, thank God you can go pull those up and say, okay, that's how you do that thing, right? It helps. It does help, right?
Oh, especially when you're actually executing the actual game.
Yeah, right. They're actually following the rules.
You get to see the dice rolls. You get to see things that are happening and hear calls made.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So good. Well, thank you, gentlemen. We've gone 3 hours and 7 minutes. Not too bad, right?
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Along with a chit chat.
I will well, I love post-mortem conversation because it helps me learn and it helps me find out, right?
Yeah.
Nobody died, Jason, okay? We all lived, all right?
Well, there's a dead Mort soldier, some dead wolves.
Yeah, that's Freudian slip. Yeah.
No, but I'm literally thinking, oh my God, Dell's going to die in the first 15 minutes. I couldn't believe it.
I know. I thought it was. I mean, even thinking.
I mean, the guy rolls a 2, and I'm like, oh, come on, you can kill a wolf, can't you? 2.
Then another 2.
Yeah. Well, and I was like, okay, if I die right away, what I'm going to say is that I actually froze with my mule, and this was all just like my purgatory. Like my, I was like,
oh, no. But we'll do a retcon real quick.
Thank you so much, Sam. Man, it was
Yeah.
a pleasure seeing you again and playing with you again. Brian, of course, and Dell. And Will, I'll let Dell organize our next session because well, actually, I guess we're all in the same Discord now,
Yeah,
so
we're
we
all-
can organize
yeah.
it. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I forget when
Fine.
I leave
Logistical
Facebook, and
nightmare.
it makes it so hard to communicate with people. It's like, Jesus,
Ah,
who would
you
have
do
thought
it.
leaving Facebook would be impossible to communicate with people, but it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well. So
But anyway, it was great, guys.
Yeah.
Great, guys.
Definitely.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all a lot.
yeah,
So we'll set up the next one.
yeah.
It's a great
It's
start,
awesome.
and we can do something about Brian with Martin
Yeah.
and that meetup. Even if we do,
Well, if you
know
guys
what I mean?
prefer,
Yeah, even if we want to
you
do
guys
like a little
prefer we
narrative bit
pick
of it.
up like just a few days, that's fine.
Yeah.
So you want to
Because
just
we could do like a
assume
week or
couple of
something or
weeks
however
between?
long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
then
that'll
just-
work.
You do
I
the
mean, the
introduction
Chronicle
and
is
figure out.
you've dealt with the famine pretty much.
Yeah.
What might come back to bite you in the arse is Jarek the Druid, right?
Yeah.
He'll
Yeah.
be fine.
even if that's something that needs to be just
Yeah.
kind of abbreviated before, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Before we
Yeah.
jump forward, still do it that
Yeah,
way.
so we can just we don't have to jump big jumps. So yeah, perfect.
Cool.
Okay.
All right.
right,
All right,
gents.
gentlemen.
Have a
Night,
great
guys.
remainder
Thanks
of
again.
your weekend, guys.
Thanks.
All right.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye.